If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 76. Chapter 76, The Final Show. The only home that a man should ever need is within his heart. Lavi. On the other side, at the school dance at Gotham Academy. It would be more accurate to say that this is Dean Thuston's magic show than the school dance area. Because almost half of the students gathered on the lawn, which was meant to be a place to rest, while the area for formal events seemed a bit empty. On the lawn, there are a lot of students standing around Dean in the middle. The girls were mostly in the middle of the circle, while the boys were mostly on the outside. It was hard to imagine how the girls managed to squeeze in. Since Gotham Academy started the tradition of holding school dances, this situation is unusual. In the middle of the crowd, Dean takes out a deck of cards and asks loudly, "Now I need a volunteer from the audience to help me perform the next magic trick. Which student would like to volunteer?" As soon as the girls hear Dean, they start cheering and raising their hands while saying, "Me! Me! Choose me!" The one shouting the loudest is Lucy, who is closest to Dean. She is already deeply impressed by Dean's earlier performances and wants to experience it again. "I'm sorry, Miss Lucy, although I would love to work with you again, it's best to give others a chance this time." Dean gave her a smile and shook his head. He looks around and sees that everyone has raised their hands high, and he suddenly feels troubled. Everyone is very excited, and it seems that everyone wants to be my assistant. It's hard to pick just one. Then he closes his eyes and says, "To be fair, I'll just randomly pick someone." With his eyes closed, Dean started to spin in place. 1 spin, 2 spins, 3 spins. After spinning a few times, he suddenly stops and points his finger straight ahead. Then he opens his eyes and sees a girl with medium-length brown hair and a slim figure standing in front of him. Dean knows this girl by chance. Eva is one of his classmates, and she used to be one of his biggest fans. "It seems like fate wants you to help me with this magic trick, Eva. Please come forward." Dean extended an inviting smile to Eva. Eva blushed, her eyes sparkled, and she looked very excited. She runs over to Dean and asks eagerly, "Dean, what do you need me to do?" Dean showed her the deck of cards in his hand and said, "I'm going to flip the cards over later, and I need you to see and remember one card from inside." "Is that all?" Eva looks a little disappointed. Earlier, Dean borrowed a rose from Lucy, asked about her favorite color, and even personally held Dean's hat. She had thought that she would get the same treatment. Imagine, that was the very hat Dean personally wore. If she could hold that hat in her hands, she swore she wouldn't wash her hands all night. In the end, she didn't expect her task to be as simple as memorizing a card. Dean didn't know what the girl was thinking. He held the card in front of Eva with his left hand, while his right hand was on top of the deck. "Are you ready? I'm about to start flipping the card now." Eva was a little disappointed at first, but she quickly got over it. She didn't want Dean to disappoint her. "Yeah, I'm ready." Eva gave a nod to show that she was ready. Dean used his right hand to lift the top half of the card and swiftly flip it over. Eva only vaguely saw a spade card and didn't even catch the number before it was gone. That was probably a little too fast. "Don't worry, let's try it again." Dean seemed to realize that he turned the card over too quickly, so he did it again, but this time he took his time. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. The deck of cards was quickly flipped again. This time Eva finally saw the card clearly, a spade 10. She made a mental note of that card. "Do I need to tell you about the card, Dean?" Eva asked. "No. Don't tell me, and especially don't tell me what card you saw." Dean smiled and shook his head. He shuffled the deck and casually performed a fancy card cut known as the Pandora Flourish. Then he put the deck of cards out in front of Eva in a fan shape so that each card could be seen and none of them overlapped. "Now, see if the card you saw earlier is in there." Eva carefully looked and realized that there were all kinds of cards except for the 10 of spades. But she was sure that she indeed saw the 10 of spades just a moment ago. Eva looked surprised and shook her head, saying, "I didn't see it." "The reason you didn't see it is that you were looking too closely." Dean said it mysteriously. "What did I say earlier? The closer you look, the less you see," Lucy interjected. "Well said." Dean nodded and suddenly threw the deck of cards into the air. The people in the crowd looked up at the sky and were very shocked by what they saw. They saw the opposite building, which had all its lights turned off, suddenly light up. However, the lights didn't all turn on at the same time. Each floor of the building had only a few classrooms with lights on. When all these lit classrooms were connected, they formed a huge and singular 10 of spades. This scene had a big effect on everyone, leaving them all speechless and with their mouths wide open. Eva was the most surprised because she was the only one who knew which card she had just seen. "Now, Eva, can you tell me which card you saw?" Dean spread his hands to tell Eva that she could now give her final answer. As soon as he opened his hands, Eva rushed straight towards him and hugged Dean tightly. "It's the 10 of spades. I saw the 10 of spades," Eva excitedly shouted. However, the other girls were no longer interested in the playing cards. "Hey! Eva, you slut! Who allowed you to hug Dean? Let go of him! Let me go next! What did you say? Dean is mine! I don't care! Since Eva can hug Dean, then I can too!" Who knows who started it, but all the girls around Dean rushed towards him, each one violent and aggressive like hungry wolves. "Hey, hey, hey, don't come over here!" On the other side of the building, Dick was sweating a lot as he clung to the railing on the 12th floor. He had raced against time and used a lot of energy to set up and turn on the light switches in different classrooms. Looking down at Dean, who was now surrounded by countless girls, Dick felt extremely dissatisfied. He thought to himself, "Damn it! How did I end up like this when I was supposed to use magic to get girls in the first place? Why are they focusing on Dean's show now? Why should I help him do magic?" Chapter 77, Chapter 77, The Talk. The hardest choices require the strongest wills. Thanos, Avengers, Infinity War. After a while, Dean sneaked out of the crowd without making any noise. Phew! Finally got away. Fans are more difficult to deal with than police. Dean breathed a sigh of relief and thought to himself. At this moment, the girls in the crowd were still frantically searching for Dean. Now that no one had noticed him, Dean quickly left the scene. After a while, he ran into Dick, who had just come from the direction of the school building. "Thanks for helping me back there, Dick." Dean waved to him. "You should be grateful to me because you weren't the one being chased by the principal for turning on the lights." Dick rolled his eyes. "How did it feel to be the center of attention? Did you have fun?" "I'm completely exhausted, and I got scolded." "Yes, thank you very much, young Master Dick. If you want, I'll show you some good ways to pick up girls later." Dean shrugged. "I want to learn the best ones, like making pigeons appear from a hat." Dick hit Dean hard on the shoulder. "Where did you hide those pigeons anyway? The space inside a hat is not big enough for so many, no matter how creative the technique is." Dick asked. "It's a secret." Dean chuckled mysteriously. "Mystery adds charm to a magician." "Ugh!" Dick looked at Dean's fake smile with disdain, showing that he was very dissatisfied. Dean didn't mind Dick's disdain because other men always tend to envy great men. He turned his head to look at Dick and curiously asked, "I'm actually quite curious. Since you're related to Wayne, you can easily get a lot of girls' attention by telling them a little bit about your background. Why do you still bother with these weird tricks to pick up girls?" Although Dick's guardian is Bruce Wayne, only a very few people in the school know about it, apart from the principal and a few teachers. Even his classmates, who have made fun of his name, don't know that this person is the current heir of the Wayne family. Because I'm Richard Grayson, not Richard Wayne. I'm grateful that Bruce adopted me, but I don't want to use the Wayne family's name to benefit myself. Dick didn't hesitate or think twice before giving his answer. I see, but don't you still ask Mr. Wayne for some pocket money when you go on dates with those ex-girlfriends? Dean smirked. Dick's face immediately turned black. That's different. I also make money by working part-time, you know. Relax, I'm just kidding. I know what you're talking about. Dean squinted and smiled, then his expression suddenly turned serious. To be honest, if I were you, I wouldn't worry so much. It's not like you have to go around saying that you are Wayne's foster son. At least when someone asks where you live, you don't have to hesitate for a long time. Just because you say you are Wayne doesn't mean you are using that name for anything. What I mean is, I feel like deep down, you're resisting the identity of Bruce Wayne's son. But why? He is your foster father, and you are his foster son, that's a fact. In fact, what Dick is resisting is not the identity of Bruce's son but another identity. An identity that was almost suffocating him, but Dick couldn't tell Dean these dark secrets. Maybe you're right, Dean, but I have my own way of living. Dick said. Let's not make things so depressing. Just think of what I said earlier as nonsense. Now, let's talk about something else. Dean waved his hand and passed on the topic. As soon as he finished speaking, Dick picked up a new topic. Like, when are you going to get a girlfriend? Dean's mouth twitched. Why are you curious about that? I don't have any plans to get involved in childish relationships with high school girls anytime soon. Tut tut, you sound like an antique from a century ago. Come on, the times have changed. If you don't fall in love in high school, it's even less likely that you will in college because everyone else has more experience than you. Dick crossed his arms and spoke seriously. You should at least learn to determine which girls are good and which ones aren't. I don't want to see my good friend being cheated on or cuckolded. I'm not stupid enough to be cheated without knowing, and the Thurston family is a traditional family. My parents only met after graduating from college and were each other's first love. Of course, I have to continue the tradition of the family. Dean casually made up an excuse. Do what you want, you're already beyond help. Dick shook his head helplessly. After a while, the people on the lawn noticed that they couldn't find Dean. The high-spirited atmosphere slowly calmed down, and the campus dance went back to its usual routine. But it was already late, and most people had plans for the evening, so many people, including Dean and Dick, just went home. Dean needed to consider his next move, while Dick had to carry out his routine night patrol. At the dock, late at night. Ha! Dick shouted and delivered a final kick. He was already wearing Robin's suit, and 17 people lay on the ground around him, covered in bruises and barely conscious. Just a few minutes ago, Dick walked into a drug deal that was going on at this place. These drug dealers are part of the Thorne gang. It seems Rupert Thorne is up to his old antics again. Dick thought to himself as he tied up the group with a rope. Beep. Beep. Suddenly, Dick felt his phone vibrating in his pocket. Once he made sure the ropes were secure, he used his grappling gun to shoot towards the opposite warehouse. After reaching the top of the warehouse, Dick took out his phone and saw that it was a video call from Titan's Tower. Calling Robin, do you copy? Once connected, a beautiful woman with tan skin, long, fiery red hair, and green eyes appeared on the screen in front of Dick. Starfire. Seeing her on the screen, Dick's face showed a hint of joy, but he controlled his emotions and didn't let it show. Why did you suddenly contact me? Is there something wrong with the Titans? No, everyone is doing well, and Titan's Tower is still as lively as ever. Starfire shook her head. I reached out to ask, when are you planning to return to Titan's Tower? You used to visit every weekend, but it's been 2 months since you last came. We feel like we're missing something important without you. We all need you, Robin, and I need you too. Chapter 78, Chapter 78, Hope Diamond. You seek love. It's all any of us want. Thor, love and thunder. Trust me, Starfire, I really want to see you too. I've thought about you every moment for the past 2 months. Dick said this to Starfire with deep affection on his face. If I could, I would fly the Batplane to Titan Tower to see you right now. But I can't leave Gotham right now because of what's going on there. Dick shook his head helplessly. Batman went on a secret mission with the Justice League and hasn't been in touch for a few months. He might not even be on Earth anymore, no one knows when they will come back. In other words, the only ones protecting Gotham during this time are me and Batgirl. Batgirl is new to this line of work, she has great potential, but she doesn't have enough experience to deal with the dangerous supervillains in Gotham. Also, there's a new criminal who claims to be a phantom thief in Gotham recently, and I feel like he's hiding a lot of secrets. I'm sorry, but until Batman returns, I have to stay in Gotham. After hearing Dick's words, Starfire lowered her head in sadness. Well, Robin, I heard that you're about to have a spring break, and I thought we could see each other more. She stopped for a moment, and she suddenly looked up and asked, maybe I can bring the Titans to Gotham to help? If the situation in Gotham is so bad, wouldn't it be better to have more people to help? What? Let the Titans come to Gotham? Absolutely not. Upon hearing this, Dick's emotions immediately became anxious. You don't understand Gotham. It would be a huge disaster if they messed around here. Trust me, the Titans aren't ready to face this city. Dick's response startled Starfire, and as soon as he realized it, he quickly softened his tone. I sincerely appreciate your kindness, Starfire, but don't worry. I can handle everything here. I promise I'll go to Titan Tower to see you as soon as Batman returns. Dick assured Starfire. After living on Earth for so long, I still can't understand the thoughts of you humans. Starfire sighed and said something in distress. Yes, although Starfire's body and appearance are not much different from humans, she is not from Earth. Her real name was Coriandar, and she came from a planet called Tamaran in the Milky Way galaxy, where she used to be a princess of the Tamaranines. The reason she said used to is because the Tamaran civilization has been destroyed, and only a small number of survivors are scattered throughout the galaxy. Starfire arrived on Earth as a refugee during those times. On the day she arrived on Earth, she coincidentally encountered Dick patrolling with the Teen Titans, and they rescued her. That's how she became a member of the Teen Titans. It was also because of that incident that Starfire and Dick became friends for the first time, which slowly grew into a romantic relationship. This is also Dick's longest-lasting relationship. For Starfire, he had almost cut off contact with all his former girlfriends. Although Starfire, who is 6 feet 3 inches tall, and Dick, who is just 5 feet 10 inches tall, might not seem like a compatible pair. Anyway, after ending the call, Dick stared in the direction of New York and got lost in thought. The Titans Tower is currently located on Manhattan Island in New York. Dick wasn't lying to Starfire, and he really wanted to return to Titans Tower as soon as possible. It wasn't just for Starfire, he enjoyed his time with the Teen Titans more than always fighting criminals in Gotham. But Gotham was also a responsibility for Dick, and at this moment he had to stay for now. I've wasted enough time. It's time to have a serious talk with Rupert Thorne. Looking at the time, Dick's expression turned serious as he shifted back into his Robin persona. The night was still young. A few days later. Gotham City, the Calculator's secret hideout. Ignatius came here for the second time. Unlike before, this time he didn't knock on the door or take out a Rubik's Cube. He simply stood at the entrance, and the door to the room automatically opened. As for why he had come here again, it was naturally to collect the goods. Felix left the Stone of Misfortune in Calculator's hands in the hope that Calculator would sell it on his behalf. The Calculator himself wasn't in Gotham, so naturally the Stone of Misfortune wasn't in Gotham either. So when Ignatius first came, he only negotiated the deal and paid a deposit. He hadn't officially paid for or received the goods yet. Is the Stone of Misfortune inside that box? Ignatius walked inside and immediately spotted a sealed box on the table where the monitor was placed. The box had a strange material, like wood but also like stone, and faintly had a metallic shine. There were also mysterious symbols engraved on it that he couldn't figure it out. At first glance, it had a strong, dark magic vibe. Yes, this is the Stone of Misfortune that even Felix took seriously. The Calculator was still communicating remotely through the monitor, as he wasn't physically there. He wondered how the Calculator managed to transport the box inside here. Just a friendly reminder, if you don't want to die, don't open the box. The Calculator warned. That box is the containment vessel used by Felix to suppress the magic of the Stone of Misfortune. Whoever opens the box and touches the stone will suffer from the deadly curse. Ignatius had heard that the box could stop magic from working, but he was still afraid to pick it up. I have already received Penguin's payment, and you can take the Stone of Misfortune with you now. After saying that, Calculator didn't care whether Ignatius took the box or not. He immediately disconnected from the server, and the monitor shut down automatically. Ignatius looked at the box containing the Stone of Misfortune on the table, hesitated for a moment, and finally gritted his teeth, carefully picking up the box. Nothing happened. Ignatius breathed a sigh of relief and left Calculator's hideout. The next day, a news article once again dominated the headlines of major newspapers. A few days ago, the cancelled Hope Diamond exhibition suddenly had plans to open up again. As everyone knew, the Hope Diamond was a world-famous cursed diamond, with all its previous owners meeting mysterious deaths, and it wasn't until it was donated to the Smithsonian Museum in New York that the curse ended. It had a history of nearly half a century. Although the story of the curse and death may have been fabricated for publicity, it doesn't change the fact that it is one of the most famous diamonds in the world. Interestingly, during this time, there is a mysterious thief named Phantom Thief who is obsessed with stealing valuable treasures in Gotham. With the Hope Diamond being so famous, it's likely that this thief will probably want it. The question is whether or not the famous curse on the Hope Diamond will stop this thief. Chapter 79, Chapter 79, A Mysterious Woman. The thing about happiness is that you only know you had it when it's gone. Conrad Kellogg, Fallout 4. March 15. Gotham City, Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center. In the curator's office, two people are sitting on the sofa having a face-to-face conversation. One of them is a middle-aged man in a suit, and the other is a professional-looking woman in office clothes. The first is Henry Orpheus, the curator of the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center, and the second is Kim Beckett, the person in charge of lending the Hope Diamond from the Smithsonian Museum for the exhibition in Gotham. Author's note: a curator is like the keeper of a museum or other collections. Enjoy! Welcome to Gotham, Ms. Beckett, from the Smithsonian Museum. As the host, Henry warmly greeted her. You're too kind, Mr. Orpheus. I came here this time to discuss the security details of the exhibition with your institution. I hope you don't mind if I'm being too careful. We absolutely don't mean to interfere with your work. Kim showed a polite smile on her face and humbled herself. No problem at all. The Hope Diamond is such a precious treasure that it should be well protected. It's only natural to pay attention to every detail. Henry keeps nodding in a sincere manner. This is not surprising. As the organizer of the exhibition for the Hope Diamond, if anything happens to the diamond, he will be held responsible. It's likely he would lose everything he has just to compensate. As for whether he can buy theft insurance, that's a joke. Which insurance company would dare to sell insurance in Gotham? They would be accused of fraud. In fact, a famous gem like the Hope Diamond would be fought over by major museums and exhibition centers wherever it was exhibited. There would be no shortage of venues willing to pay to borrow it. However, in Gotham, the situation took a 180-degree turn. The Hope Diamond seemed to have become a controversial issue because of the curse, and no major museum was willing to take it. As a result, the Smithsonian Museum had to announce the cancellation of the exhibition in Gotham. Yes, this is the real reason why the exhibition of the Hope Diamond was cancelled, not because of fear of the Phantom Thief or any other criminals. No one knows what the head of the Smithsonian Museum was thinking, but they had too much free time to send the gem to Gotham for no reason. They may have thought that they could use the fact that the Phantom Thief would eventually give back the stolen gem to get more publicity. If, unfortunately, Phantom Thief is caught this time, it would mean that the legend of the cursed Hope Diamond would continue, which would be a win-win situation. In Gotham, people with these kinds of thoughts usually go to Arkham to get help, but who knows what people from Washington are thinking. In short, just when the Smithsonian Museum decided to completely give up on the Gotham exhibition plan, the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center took the initiative to approach them. The Smithsonian Museum didn't think much of this medium-sized show center. Henry believes that exhibiting the Hope Diamond exhibition is a great opportunity, as it can greatly increase the fame of their exhibition center. So both parties agreed, and they reached a cooperation agreement smoothly. "May I ask when you've decided to hold the exhibition?" Henry hesitated a bit as he asked. "What I mean is, when will the Hope Diamond be sent to Gotham? Without the diamond, our security measures won't be complete, and we'll be missing the final piece." "I understand what you mean, Mr. Orpheus. I'm not here today to ask you to do anything, I just want to discuss the future work arrangements," Kim explained. As for the exact date of the exhibition, it officially starts on March 31 and lasts until April 4, a total of 5 days. The Hope Diamond will be brought over about a week before the exhibition starts. "I see, Miss Beckett. Words alone might not be convincing enough. If you don't mind, please come with me, and we'll visit the exhibition center together." Henry stood up and invited Kim. "To make this exhibition a success, we spent a lot of money on high-quality security equipment from Wayne Enterprises, LexCorp, and Star Labs to make sure that no one will steal the Hope Diamond. Seeing your confidence, I'm curious about what kind of security measures you've taken." Kim accepted the director's invitation, and the two headed towards the exhibition center. Henry clearly valued the Hope Diamond exhibition. He excitedly introduced various high-tech equipment to Kim, even demonstrating some of them to show their actual functions. In fact, he could have assigned this task to his subordinates, but he insisted on personally introducing them to Kim. Even someone who has never understood these types of equipment wouldn't think they were cheap just by casually looking at them. Moreover, most of the equipment looked new and had been recently installed. It was clear that Henry had spent as much money as he could. After a round of observation, the two returned to the office. Henry talked the entire way, and his throat dried. As soon as they entered the room, he took a sip of water from a cup on the table and said, "This is the best we can do, Ms. Beckett." Kim nodded in satisfaction and said, "You've done an excellent job. To be honest, I even think that the Smithsonian Museum's security measures are not as good as yours." "You flatter me. I have to go back and report my work, so let me say goodbye, Mr. Orpheus." Kim and Henry shook hands, then turned and left. As she walked away, Henry sat in his chair with a look of satisfaction on his face. He started imagining the fame and wealth that awaited him after the successful exhibition of the Hope Diamond. Knock, knock. Soon, there was a knock on the office door. "Come in." Henry quickly composed himself and spoke calmly. But when he saw the person standing in front of him, his face suddenly froze. "Ms. Beckett? Why did you come back?" The person who came in was Kim Beckett, who had just left a short while ago. However, Kim seemed not to understand Henry's words and asked, furrowing her brow, "What do you mean by back, Mr. Orpheus. I just arrived here." At the sound of this, Henry's face turned pale, and he stared at Kim in shock. Kim did not understand why he looked like this and seemed puzzled. The two just stared at each other in silence. Thurston Manor. The Hope Diamond exhibition will be held at the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center from March 31 to April 4, for 5 days, with a ticket price of $8 per adult. Dean glared at the news on his phone. Chapter 80, the fourth notice letter. Sometimes a flower is just a flower, and the best thing it can do for us is to die. Tisaya, the Witcher. The Hope Diamond is such a famous gem, how could the Phantom Thief possibly miss it? When Dean saw the news that the exhibition of the Hope Diamond was being held again, he immediately made it his next target. If he could successfully steal this world-famous diamond, he would definitely earn more points. I still have half a month to prepare the plan, so we have plenty of time. Dean rubbed his chin and thought to himself. However, why was the exhibition of the Hope Diamond brought back? Is it really just because they found a new place to hold the event? The Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center is not very large, and their business has always been average. What makes them feel like they can put on the Hope Diamond exhibit? In addition, why would the Smithsonian Museum put it on display in Gotham? Something doesn't seem quite right. Dean was a little worried about the Hope Diamond exhibit reopening, but he wasn't going to give up. Besides, he had wanted to see this diamond up close for a long time. In his previous life, there was also a Hope Diamond, which was equally famous, and it was also kept in the Smithsonian Museum. Naturally, both diamonds had the same legendary curse. In the centuries before it was donated to the Smithsonian Institution, the Hope Diamond had passed through the hands of wealthy people all over the world, and without exception, all of the people who owned this diamond died too soon, whether they were nobles or wealthy merchants. It was almost as if it had some kind of death curse. With such a mysterious and dark history, the Hope Diamond became more and more famous until it was the most famous gemstone in the world. Of course, Dean knew very well that the diamond in his previous life had no curse of death. The legendary curse was just a marketing strategy. But this world was different. Magic really existed in the DC universe. The previous target, the Dragon's Egg Ruby Necklace, was a precious treasure imbued with magic. So Dean thought it was difficult to say whether the DC universe's Hope Diamond would bring about a death curse. In any case, when it came to rumors like this, Dean always acted like he believed them instead of acting like he didn't. It could be said that without his system, Dean wouldn't even consider having any thoughts about the Hope Diamond. One wrong move, and he might find himself under a death curse. That's a curse, something that can't be seen or touched, and when the time comes, he wouldn't even know how he died. Calm down, let's go visit the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center first. It's not far from here, about a half-hour walk. After making up his mind, Dean carefully disguised himself and left his house. After a while, GCPD. Henry Orpheus walked anxiously through the police station gates. "I want to see Commissioner Jim Gordon." He went to the reception and gave his ID and a short explanation of the reason for his visit. After listening to Henry's report, the receptionist's expression immediately became serious, and he quickly connected the call to Commissioner Gordon's office to report the situation. Henry Orpheus waited in the meeting room. Before long, Jim and Harvey walked in. "You must be Henry Orpheus, and you run the center now, right?" Harvey asked first. "I heard that the Smithsonian Museum lent the Hope Diamond to your exhibition center," he added. Henry nodded to confirm what Harvey said was true, then turned to Jim and asked, "Hello, Chief Gordon, may I ask who this is?" Harvey had worked for the GCPD for more than a decade and had made a lot of efforts that were even shown on TV, but Gordon, who was in the news every other day, was far more popular in Gotham. "This is Detective Harvey Bullock, my most trusted partner. You can speak directly to him without any hesitation." Jim introduced Harvey to Henry. "All right, Commissioner Gordon and Detective Bullock, just a little over an hour ago today. Henry began telling everything that had happened recently. So, what you mean is that someone disguised themselves as Smithsonian Museum staff and used the excuse of checking the security measures of the Hope Diamond to see all the setup at your exhibition center. Jim frowned and asked after Henry finished speaking. You were willing to let the other person look into confidential facilities without making sure they were who they said they were. So it's no wonder your center never grows. Harvey chuckled beside them. Harvey, don't make unrelated comments during the investigation. Jim glared at him and warned. On the other side of the room, Henry was not offended. Instead, he felt ashamed and lowered his head. Harvey is right. It's all my fault. I was too eager to cooperate with the Smithsonian Museum and gain their approval, which led me to make this foolish mistake. Henry admitted it with remorse. Don't be too hard on yourself, Mr. Orpheus. Based on your description, the imposter looked and sounded very similar to the real staff member. It's understandable that you were tricked, especially since the imposter obviously knows how to disguise themselves well. Jim turned to comfort Mr. Orpheum. Mr. Orpheus, let me confirm once again, you suspect this imposter to be the Phantom Thief because of his technique of disguise, but you did not receive the usual notice from him, is that correct? Jim asked. Yes, I searched all possible locations and couldn't find any notice, and nothing was missing. Henry confirmed. Jim and Harvey exchanged a glance and saw suspicion in each other's eyes. The Phantom Thief was skilled in disguise and liked to go after gems, so it was normal for Mr. Orpheus to suspect him. But according to the Phantom Thief's usual patterns, he would always send out advance notices. Especially for someone like him who disguised himself as someone who could easily be exposed, it's highly unlikely that he wouldn't send out advance notices even after being exposed. Unless Phantom Thief gave up on the Hope Diamond and cancelled his plan due to the center's security measures. Jim and Harvey deeply questioned this possibility. Is it possible that the imposter who disguised themselves as a Smithsonian staff member was not the Phantom Thief? The two were lost in thought. Sir, something is wrong. Just then, the door of the conference room was suddenly pushed open, and a young police officer hurried over, holding a fax machine with the just printed paper. Phantom Thief sent another notice. The officer reported in a panicked voice. Hearing the report from the officer, Jim quickly stood up and snatched the paper from the officer's hand. Sure enough, the advance notice from Phantom Thief was written on it. On the first day of the Emperor holding his scepter. The wheels of fate are about to turn for 2 cycles. The silver-winged magician will obey the High Priestess's call and descend upon the peak to appreciate that beautiful blue hope. Yours truly, Phantom Thief Kid. Oh, I can't think of anything better than the last one, but the story has progressed to this point, and I have no choice but to go with it. Please forgive me, my friends. Chapter 81, Chapter 81, Two Thieves. Nothing kills a man faster than his own head. Tyler Joseph. Beep beep. Just as Commissioner Gordon picked up the Phantom Thief's notice letter, Henry, who was standing nearby, suddenly heard his phone ring. He picked up his phone and saw that it was his secretary calling, and he had a bad feeling that something was wrong. Oh no, Mr. Orpheus. We just found the Phantom Thief's notice letter in your office. As soon as the call was connected, the secretary delivered some bad news to Henry. From the secretary's words, Henry learned that the content of the notice letter was exactly the same as the one faxed to the GCPD. In fact, not only did the Orpheus Center and the GCPD receive the notice letter, but all the media platforms in Gotham received it at the same time. This was not unusual, as the Phantom Thief never worried about a lot of people knowing about his notice letters. On the contrary, he seemed worried that no one would know he was going to steal something, so he made a lot of noise to let everyone know. But why didn't I find anything when he first came? Instead, they found the notice letter in my office after I arrived at the police station. Henry muttered to himself. Harvey heard his voice and raised an eyebrow, asking, "Mr. Orpheus, you don't still think that the impostor you saw for the first time was the phantom thief, do you?" "Harvey, what do you mean by that? Are you saying?" Finally realizing what Harvey was saying, Henry felt a bit slow. It's obvious that someone else, besides the phantom thief, is also targeting the Hope Diamond. At that moment, Commissioner Gordon put the notice letter in his hand and spoke in a serious tone. "Jim, who do you think that person could be?" Harvey asked. Jim pondered for a moment before saying, "The Hope Diamond has a reputation that far surpasses that of an ordinary gemstone, and an ordinary thief probably wouldn't dare touch it. In addition, this person is skilled at disguise. Although we can't determine the gender for now, the disguise appears to be that of a woman. If we assume this is a female thief, I can only think of one person." "Are you saying she's back? But hasn't she retired from this business a long time ago?" Harvey's expression changed. Jim shook his head and said, "It's just a first guess. The impostor may not necessarily be female. Just like how the phantom thief disguised himself as female before, we can't determine their true gender until their identity is revealed. Although most people in Gotham currently think of the phantom thief as male, in fact, the police department has listed his gender as suspected male in the phantom thief's file because he was always disguised as a male." Henry broke out into a cold sweat, and he shook his head with a wry smile. "I thought the infamous reputation of the Hope Diamond would scare off a lot of thieves. After all, it hasn't been stolen from the Smithsonian Museum for so many years. But now, I didn't expect two big thieves to steal it as soon as the news got out." "Humph, that's because this is Gotham," Harvey snorted. Suddenly, Harvey seemed to remember something and turned to Henry and asked, "If I remember correctly, the diamond should still be at the Smithsonian, right?" After getting a positive answer, Harvey looked serious and said, "Since the diamond hasn't been delivered to you yet, why not just cancel the exhibition? If there's no target, then neither the phantom thief nor any other thieves would have a reason to commit a crime. The Smithsonian Museum has cancelled an exhibition before, so cancelling it again shouldn't be a problem." "This..." Henry hesitated at the suggestion. "I'm afraid that won't work. I spent almost half of my savings purchasing a large amount of security equipment to protect the Hope Diamond. If I cancel the exhibition, all that money will go to waste. In addition, I signed a contract with the Smithsonian Museum. If I cancel the exhibition without permission, I have to pay a large amount of liquidated damages. You can let us, the police, negotiate with the Smithsonian Museum to persuade them to voluntarily cancel the exhibition. This way, you won't breach the contract," Harvey suggested. "You can try, but I think the chance of success is low." Henry didn't have much confidence in Harvey's idea. "I don't know why, but they seem to have great importance to the exhibition plan in Gotham. Otherwise, they wouldn't have agreed to hold the exhibition again at my small venue after announcing the cancellation. I believe the Smithsonian Museum is prepared for the possibility of thieves targeting the Hope Diamond, and yet they still decided to exhibit the diamond in Gotham. No matter the results, it's still worth trying to negotiate." Jim agreed with Harvey's suggestion. "Mr. Orpheus, can you bring the person in charge of negotiating the exhibition with the Smithsonian Museum who is still at your place? Please take us to meet her." After he agreed, the group quickly headed to the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center. Wayne Manor, in Dick's small study. "From the look on your face, has the phantom thief sent another notice letter, Master Richard?" Alfred walked in with a tray of snacks and coffee and saw Dick staring at a white piece of paper on the computer screen. There seemed to be a few lines of writing on the paper. Without even needing to read what was written on it, Alfred could guess what the paper was. Recently, Dick has only shown a similar expression when looking at one thing. "MHM." Hearing Alfred's question, Dick didn't even turn his head, he just gave a slight nod. "Don't overwork yourself, take breaks and rest, Master Richard. I have put down your afternoon tea." Alfred knew this would happen, so he put the snacks and coffee on the table next to Dick. "Thank you, Alfred." Dick thanked him, and Alfred quietly left the room. Not long after, Dick received a phone call from Barbara. "Hey! Elf Boots, have you seen the Phantom Thief's notice letter?" In the library, Barbara was talking to Dick as she sat in her own office. "You want to get involved with Phantom Thief again?" Dick frowned and asked. "What else can I do? Last time, both you and Phantom Thief played me. Do you expect me to pretend like nothing happened?" Barbara retorted. "I admit that Phantom Thief is indeed more difficult than I originally thought, but that also means you need my help even more." Dick was speechless for a moment when he realized that Barbara had made a good point. Every time he faced the Phantom Thief, he was always one step behind and always ran out of time. He had to admit that the Phantom Thief was smart, at least not inferior to himself. If he only has himself to depend on, he might be trapped in this frustrating cycle forever. Dick wasn't the type to stubbornly refuse help or accept any assistance. After thinking about it, he agreed to let Barbara join the case involving the Phantom Thief. "I guess you've already deciphered the content of the notice letter by now?" Barbara continued to ask. "Almost. The Phantom Thief's riddle this time is much simpler than the last." Dick gave a definite answer. The specific content of the notice letter says. Chapter 82, Negotiation. "It's not the future you are afraid of. It's the fear of the past repeating itself that haunts you." TMW. In the conference room of the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center, Commissioner Gordon, Harvey, Henry, and a representative from the Smithsonian Museum named Kim Beckett are present. "I want to explain again. The Hope Diamond is likely to be targeted by multiple thieves during the exhibition. Any slight mistake could lead to the diamond being stolen. Ms. Beckett, are you really not considering canceling the exhibition in Gotham?" Commissioner Gordon took it seriously. "I understand Commissioner Gordon's concerns, and we appreciate the efforts of the GCPD. However, when we decided to exhibit the Hope Diamond, we had already expected the current situation. Therefore, we will not cancel the exhibition and will continue as planned." Ms. Beckett answered quietly and showed no sign of giving up. "Moreover, we have full trust in the abilities of the Gotham police. We believe you can protect the Hope Diamond from being easily stolen." For some reason, this response sounded funny to the people in Gotham. Even Jim wasn't sure he hadn't heard something wrong. But in any case, whether the abilities of the Gotham police were worthy of trust or not, the other side liked what they were doing. This made it difficult for them to persuade them to cancel the exhibition. They couldn't say that they couldn't protect it or that they weren't reliable, right? Anyone could doubt the police, except for the police themselves, at least not on the surface. The GCPD will do everything in their power to protect the Hope Diamond. Jim could only promise Kim helplessly. After that, they discussed several specific details and bid farewell to each other. Jim and Harvey had to return to the police station to arrange their work, while Kim had to return to the Smithsonian Museum to report back. At the same time, another staff member in the exhibition center quietly left. He walked several streets away from the exhibition center and arrived at an empty location. The staff member takes off the mask on his face, revealing his true identity. "Besides me, there is another person who is good at disguise and is interested in Hope Diamond. Is he or she also a thief?" Dean thought to himself while changing out of the employee's clothes. "Who could that person be? It looks like I have another competitor this time. It's becoming more and more troublesome. Besides the usual involvement of the GCPD, Robin will definitely try to stop me, Batgirl might also interfere because of what happened last time, and now there's another rival thief lurking in the shadows. And this unusual exhibition might be hiding some secrets." Dean rubbed his chin and realized that his tasks were getting harder. This operation will need more time and effort to plan. Dean pondered over different measurements as he returned home. Night. Arkham Asylum. Under the gaze of two prison guards, Ignatius enters the visitor's room. The person he's visiting this time is the Riddler, Edward Nygma. "Who are you?" Riddler asks as soon as he sees Ignatius. "Ignatius Ogilvy." Ignatius respectfully answers. "Of course, you probably haven't heard of this name, so to put it in a more simple way, I am Mr. Cobblepot's secretary." As soon as Ignatius finishes speaking, Riddler's expression turns incredibly cold. What does Oswald mean by this? Only sending a subordinate to see me? You misunderstand, Mr. Nygma. The boss definitely doesn't avoid you. Ignatius's tone remains respectful but indifferent. Recently, the boss has been in charge of a large-scale gang war, so he's very busy and couldn't make it himself. Otherwise, he would have come to see you in person. Furthermore, he still holds a grudge against you for your last mistake. Upon hearing this, Riddler immediately becomes intrigued. Mistake? What mistake? Do you remember when the boss asked you to decipher the Phantom Thief's letter? Ignatius asks. Are you saying that I made a mistake in deciphering that letter? Riddler frowns. Ignatius nodded and then told Riddler his only mistake. What a joke! When Riddler learned that Caesar's guidance directed him to the quotes broadcasted by Phantom Thief, he immediately showed an angry expression that he couldn't control. He used a broadcast to add an additional subject, which replaced the original's objective. It is impossible for people who are not on the scene to possibly solve it. That's cheating. Riddles are not meant to be designed this way. Damn Phantom Thief, he's ruining riddles. Riddler cursed loudly. I must have been out of my mind to think that guys' riddles were interesting. I'm going to kill Phantom Thief, I absolutely will. Right now, he's acting like a child whose favorite toy broke. He was behaving very emotionally and not thinking clearly. This was a big difference from what people had heard about Riddler. Mr. Nygma, I came here today because Phantom Thief sent another notice letter. The boss asked me to come and ask for your help in solving it. Ignatius stifled a laugh inside and remained calm on the surface. In the boss's judgment, he still believes in your intelligence. At this moment, Ignatius suddenly lowered his voice and whispered, he also said that if your answer this time is correct, he can help you escape from here. Just as he said, Ignatius took out a paper with the Phantom Thief's notice letter written on it and showed it to Riddler. On the first day of the Emperor holding his scepter, the wheels of fate will turn for 2 cycles. The silver-winged magician will answer the High Priestess's call and descend upon the peak to appreciate that beautiful blue hope. Yours truly, Phantom Thief. To his surprise, Riddler only glanced at it once and immediately showed a look of insult. This simple thing is called a riddle. Even though Phantom Thief cheated in the last notice letter, this made it impossible for Riddler to understand it correctly. The whole idea was still good. Even though the challenge was easy for Riddler, it was still a good one. The notice letter in front of Riddler is too easy, like a child's riddle. It seems like he deliberately made it easier to give everyone a chance to solve it after making the last one too difficult. For Riddler, this feels like Phantom Thief is insulting people's intelligence. To be precise, he's insulting the Riddler's intelligence. Now, Riddler was completely filled with hatred towards the Phantom Thief. Although most people would not understand this kind of hatred. Is Oswald really not understanding something this simple? It seems that many years of ruling Gotham have made his brain rust. The Riddler even felt ashamed of Penguin, who asked him to decipher the notice letter. On the other side, Ignatius is still waiting in anticipation. Humph! What a bunch of idiots! Oswald's brain is rusting more and more every day from promoting such idiots as his secretary. Riddler thought with disdain in his heart. Oh well, for the sake of his past relationship with Penguin, he decides to explain it to this idiot. Chapter 83, The Answers. It is better to be hated for what you are than to be loved for what you are not. André Gide. Do you know about tarot cards? Riddler asked Ignatius. I've heard of them, they're just a bunch of nonsense astrology. Ignatius replied. As long as you have a bit of knowledge about tarot cards, deciphering this so-called riddle letter is simple. Riddler didn't care about what Ignatius said and kept talking, ignoring any questions Ignatius had for him. The Emperor, Wheel of Fortune, Magician, and High Priestess are all tarot cards, with the numbers 4, 10, 1, and 2, respectively. The Emperor's number is 4, and the first day he wields his scepter can be understood as the first day of April, which is April 1 St. The Wheel of Fortune represents Jupiter, and turning 2 cycles refers to the time it takes for Jupiter to rotate twice in 2 weeks. Jupiter completes one rotation in 9 hours, 55 minutes, and 30 seconds. 2 weeks would be 19 hours and 51 minutes. This means that Phantom Thief will make his move on April 1 at 19:51. The High Priestess represents the moon, and the silver-winged magician refers to the Phantom Thief himself. This line is the simplest, which means that Phantom Thief will appear in the northwest at 19:51, according to the position of the moon. The line upon the peak refers to the tower, which matches tarot card number 16. In Gotham City, the tallest building is Wayne Tower. Combining the height of Wayne Tower and the distance between the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center and the rooftop of the exhibition at an angle of 33 degrees, we will be able to see the top of Wayne Tower. And 4 plus 10 plus 1 plus 2 plus 16 is equal to 33. In short, Phantom Thief will descend onto Wayne Tower from the southeast on April 1 at 19:51. As expected of Mr. Enigma, you were able to decipher Phantom Thief's notice letter at a glance. Ignatius said it with admiration. Don't worry, the boss will help you get out of here soon. No need. The Riddler interrupted bluntly. If I want to, I can leave this place anytime without anyone's help. And, tell Cobblepot that he should never come looking for me again. Seeing the Riddler's stubborn attitude, Ignatius bid farewell and left the visiting room. Before leaving, he discreetly handed 2 stacks of money to the 2 prison guards at the entrance. As Ignatius walked out of the gates of Arkham Asylum, a smile appeared on his face. Couldn't understand Phantom Thief's notice letter? What a joke! Maybe he couldn't reach the level of understanding it with just one glance, like Riddler, but if he focused and carefully thought about it, deciphering the tricky letter was actually quite easy. Why did Ignatius come all the way here to find the Riddler? The reason wasn't about the Phantom Thief but about the Riddler himself. Ignatius didn't completely lie to the Riddler. Penguin couldn't be distracted and didn't focus on the Phantom Thief. He entrusted Ignatius with full control over dealing with the Phantom Thief. However, Penguin didn't give Ignatius the task of finding the Riddler to decipher the notice. For Ignatius, it wasn't a problem at all. He could easily say that deciphering it would take time and that finding Riddler was the best option. He knew very well that the Riddler had a serious mental illness, an obsessive-compulsive disorder, and an obsession with riddles. A little insult and the Riddler would hate the Phantom Thief, who enjoyed leaving riddles in his notice letters. Although Ignatius had prepared the Stone of Misfortune to deal with the Phantom Thief, he couldn't be too sure. If the Phantom Thief noticed the problem with the Stone of Misfortune and didn't touch it directly, then Ignatius would have to use his backup plan. That backup plan is Riddler. At the same time, Ignatius's seemingly casual remarks would also make Riddler resent the Penguin. The Riddler was to deal with the Phantom Thief, and Penguin was to set up future plans. These hidden schemes beneath the surface were unknown to Dean, and he was completely unaffected. He just went on with his normal life, going to school and exploring his target locations as usual. The 10-day spring break at Gotham Academy quickly came to an end, and Dean resumed going to school as part of his regular routine, which didn't change much. There were only 3 days left until the start of the Hope Diamond exhibition. When Dean walked into the school, discussions about the Phantom Thief flooded his ears. During this time, the discussions about the Phantom Thief had been steadily increasing, and everyone was talking about the riddles on his notice. It's worth mentioning that although the superheroes, including Dick and Barbara, and the villains, including the Riddler and Ignatius, had already deciphered the contents of the notice letter. No one leaked the information. To the outside world, the Phantom Thief's notice was still an unsolved mystery. Even the GCPD police were clueless. For some reason, Barbara did not choose to tell his father the riddle of the notice letter this time. "Hey, Dean." As soon as Dean walked into the classroom, he heard Dick calling him from the corner seat. "What's up?" Dean sat down in his back window seat and turned to look at Dick. "Do you have time in 3 days?" Dick asked mysteriously. "What is it? Do you want to learn magic again?" Dean raised an eyebrow. "No, don't you know there's a Hope Diamond exhibition in 3 days?" Dick said. Hearing this, Dean's heart skipped a beat. Why was Dick suddenly bringing up the exhibition? Hopefully, he's not up to something again. Dean remained calm and said, "Yeah, I know, but I'm not interested in these kinds of events." "I'm not interested in the exhibition either, but when it comes to Phantom Thief, it's a different story." Dick agreed with Dean's thoughts on the exhibition and suddenly changed the subject. "Oh? Are you saying you've already deciphered the Phantom Thief's notice?" Dean asked curiously. "Well, I won't tell you for now." Dick chuckled and said, "Unless you promise to come with me to the exhibition in 3 days." "Whatever. It's not like I'm dying to know anyway, and I don't need to go to the exhibition with you. I can use that time for something else." Dean shrugged. "Don't say that. You're not curious about Phantom Thief's magic skills?" Dick persuaded. "Think about it, Phantom Thief is good at magic, and you're also highly skilled in magic. It is said that the Phantom Thief loves using magic in his crimes. With a professional magician like you, maybe you could expose his tricks on the spot." As he spoke, Dick looked at Dean expectantly. For a moment, Dean didn't know what to say. After a long silence, he finally said, "Dick, you seem oddly obsessed with the Phantom Thief." Dean looked at Dick suspiciously. "You, the son of a wealthy family, are not obsessed with food, drink, and play but instead become obsessed with figuring out the Phantom Thief's tricks. Are you a detective or a police officer?" As soon as Dean finished speaking, Dick's face suddenly became serious. "Dean, I have to come clean with you." Chapter 84, A New Path. "No matter how many times it happened, I just can't used to it." Meliodas, The 7 Deadly Sins. What do you want to say?" Dean was taken aback by Dick's serious expression. "He's coming clean? What secret did he have to reveal?" Dean already knew that Dick was the heir to the Wayne family, a circus acrobat, a sharpshooter in high school, and the champion of the campus best butt contest. Dean already knew all of this about Dick. Was he going to tell him he was Robin? "You guessed it, I want to be a police officer in the future." Dick said it firmly, with determination in his voice. "Hey!" Dean looked at Dick with a strange expression. This didn't sound like something he would say. Isn't he a superhero? The leader of the Teen Titans and under Batman's wing? He's bound to join the Justice League in the future, maybe as a senior member. Isn't that much more exciting than becoming a regular police officer? And yet, here he is, telling me he wants to be a police officer. What is he trying to fool? I'm not joking with you, Dean." Dick could see the disbelief in Dean's eyes, which wasn't surprising because even he himself thought his idea was absurd. "When I finish high school this year, I plan to go to the police academy in Bloodhaven to learn more." Bloodhaven was a small port town in New Jersey, not far from Gotham. Its main industry was fishing, and it was a poor town with a high crime rate and somewhat backward technology compared to Gotham's status as a world-leading economy. To the outside world, Bloodhaven looked more like a human hell on the surface. It wasn't a place most people would consider for their higher education. "Is it true? Are you sure Mr. Wayne would approve of you going to a place like Bloodhaven to study?" At this moment, Dean began to doubt whether the person in front of him was really Dick or whether the stress of Gotham's crime had finally driven him crazy. "And your grades are not bad. Instead of going to an Ivy League school, you could easily get into a top-notch police academy in a big city. Bloodhaven. As a friend, Dean believed he had a responsibility to persuade Dick not to ruin his future. Stop, Dean. I understand what you mean, but I have thought this through carefully. Now, what we should be discussing isn't my college plans. Dick wasn't lying, he had indeed thought about this decision carefully. Deep down in his heart, Dick has started to question Batman's methods. After all the years of fighting crime together in Gotham, the city remained the same. He wants to explore if there is a better way to change Gotham. If taking down criminals with violence as a masked vigilante wasn't working, then maybe trying to enforce the law as a police officer would be more effective. However, Dick can't stay in Gotham because it would certainly result in conflict with Batman. Besides, he chose this path to escape Batman's shadow, so he had to go to another city. I hope you're really sure about your decision. As for me, there's no way I'd go to Bloodhaven for college. Dean said, giving up on trying to persuade Dick further. He had already said everything he needed to say. In short, if I want to become a good detective in the future, I need to develop the important skills in advance. It would be even better if I had some valuable experience. So, you want to catch Phantom Thief to prove your abilities, and you want me to help you see through his tricks. Dean finally understood why Dick wanted him to go to the exhibition. Are you sure Commissioner Gordon won't kick you out for interfering with official business? Dean asked skeptically. Don't worry. Let's just think of ourselves as private investigators. The police can deal with Phantom Thief in their own way, and we'll do it our way. We just need to make sure they don't find out. Besides, I have a friend who can help. Dick said, pausing for a moment before continuing. Dean quickly catches the critical information in Dick's words and interrupts. You must have deciphered the riddle of the notice letter. How else would you know that Phantom Thief's operation this time is not at night? Keep it down, don't let others hear. Dick quickly signals for Dean to be quiet. I can tell you the contents of the notice letter, but you have to promise to come with me to the exhibition. Hehe, it's clear that you want to play the game of cops and robbers and call it improving your detective skills. But in fact, you want me to come and help you decipher the thief's tricks. So is this for your improvement or mine? Dean chuckles. No, it's two different things. Even the most skilled detective wouldn't refuse the help of a professional. Finding the best assistant will make solving the case much faster and easier. Dick keeps waving his hands around and trying to sound smart. All right, since you're inviting me so sincerely, I'll accept it. Dean reluctantly nods and agrees to Dick's invitation. That's great. I knew you would agree. Dick said. As promised, he revealed all the riddles of the notice letter to Dean, including how to use tarot card knowledge to decipher it. Dean tried to look like he was listening, but he couldn't help but laugh inside. Last time, Barbara didn't have any more doubts about Dean because he wasn't there. Maybe the same tricks wouldn't fool Batman, but Dean and the Phantom Thief were still different people at the moment. Their personalities and behavior were completely different. This meant that Dean could slowly start using his real identity to carry out more suitable tasks. Of course, it was risky, but it was worth it. Time flew by quickly, and before they knew it, it was March 31st. This day was not the day the Phantom Thief made a move for his crimes, nor was it the day for any other thief's move. No thief other than the Phantom Thief sent a notice letter before committing a crime. However, this day was still special, especially for the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center. The legendary Hope Diamond, famous throughout the world as the Stone of Misfortune, will officially be put on exhibition today. In the past few days, the diamond had been securely locked away, stopping anyone from getting close to it, but now it had to be taken out for people to see it. In other words, any thief targeting this diamond could move at any moment. Why did you call me here now if Phantom Thief's crime is tomorrow? Dean asked quietly as he walked through the Advanced Technology Exhibition Hall, looking at different items as he moved. At the same time, he quietly asked Dick, who was beside him. "I think Phantom Thief has a habit of exploring the venue in advance. He might be hiding somewhere here right now." Dick replied cautiously, his sharp gaze moving among the visitors, alert for anyone who is suspicious. Chapter 85, Chapter 85, The Game Begins. Do not use the innocent for your own amusement. Suihiro Techu, Bungo Stray Dogs. Dick looked around the crowd carefully, but he didn't know that the most dangerous person was often the one closest to him. "Hey, Richard and Dean." A clear female voice sounded from the side. Barbara came over and greeted the two. Dick mentioned before that he had a friend in GCPD who had a lot of influence. "I should have known it was you, Ms. Gordon." Dean said it with a polite smile. "You arrived 1 minute and 23 seconds later than expected, Barbara." Dick looked at his watch and said it with a serious expression. "Look at you with your behavior, this is why you'll never be as popular as Dean." Barbara snorted softly and then explained. "I had a reason for being late. I saw my dad talking to a group of people just now. They seemed to be discussing security adjustments once the official exhibition started." "Oh wow, are you sure I can hear this information?" Dean jokingly exaggerated. "Both of you are the daughter of a police commissioner and the heir to Wayne Enterprises. It's normal for you to know some secrets. Should I stay away from it for a bit?" Dick couldn't help but roll his eyes. "Your lame joke isn't even funny, let alone cool. Let's not forget our identities today. We are detectives, and the only goal is to investigate the Phantom Thief." "You're really into this game?" Dean joked. "There's something I'm really curious about, Ms. Gordon. Why would you want to play this cop-catching thief game with this guy?" Dean turned to Barbara and pointed at Dick. "Just call me Barbara." "Dean, you don't have to be so formal all the time." Barbara corrected her name and then answered, "This guy said he wanted to be a cop, which reminds me of myself back then. If it weren't for my father's overprotection I might have been a policewoman by now. Or maybe blown up to death in some corner, who knows. Now that he has the idea of being a cop and plans to follow this dream, why shouldn't I help him, even if it's just a game?" Okay, they've come up with an excuse that Dean, as an ordinary person, can barely believe, making him think that they're really just doing all this for Dick's dream of being a cop. Dean actually knew that Dick and Barbara wanted to use his magic abilities to see if they could stop the Phantom Thief in this area. But at the same time, they also had to make sure that Dean wouldn't suspect their secret identities and come up with different excuses to cover up any suspicious situations. Even Dean started to wonder how Dick and Barbara would disappear when Robin and Batgirl appeared. It can be said that both sides were struggling in the same way. "Actually, there's another reason I came here today." Barbara suddenly turned to Dean and said solemnly, "It's to see you." The sincerity of her apology was clear in the way her eyes filled with guilt. "When we met at the library before, I forced you to eat cheese beef rolls to prevent the dining area from changing the recipe. I've always wanted to apologize to you for that." Dean knew that Barbara was talking about something else, but he couldn't show that he understood. So he decided to play dumb. "Ah? Oh. I remember now that there was indeed something like that. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have almost forgotten it. Hey. It's not a big deal, and the cheese beef rolls weren't that bad." Dean played along. Cough, cough. "Barbara, let's talk about the real issue first. What's this about the security adjustments?" Dick coughed loudly next to them, which made them stop the awkward atmosphere between them. "I'm not sure about the specifics, but I happened to overhear a couple of things when I passed by them." Barbara's expression turned serious as she said, "What is certain is that the Hope Diamond won't be displayed in any public exhibition hall. Instead, it will be exhibited in a separate hall. They said this separate hall was specially built by Henry Orpheus for Hope Diamond and equipped with the most advanced civilian security system." "Where is this exhibition hall?" Dick hurriedly asked. "They were heading in that direction when I met them, if I remember correctly," Barbara said while pointing the way. "Besides the separate hall for the Hope Diamond, the entire exhibition hall has undergone different upgrades and renovations," Barbara explained as they walked. "For example, the ordinary glass windows have all been replaced with high-strength, fire-resistant and blast-resistant tempered glass that can withstand high temperatures. They are much stronger than the normally used bulletproof glass. In addition, almost every high-value collection has been equipped with highly sensitive gravity sensors. Once a few grams of weight change are detected, it triggers an alarm, and all the doors of the exhibition halls instantly close. These doors are made to be as strong as those in bomb bunkers. To avoid power outages caused by power supply damage, every spot with a backup power source has extra power supplies. And even for areas without extra power sources, they've prepared 2 separate power supply lines that don't interfere with each other. Even if one line is cut off, it won't result in a power outage." Dean couldn't help but think that if regular public exhibition halls had this level of protection, then the separate exhibition hall for Hope Diamond must be even more terrifying. "This is definitely a serious problem," Dean thought to himself. Before long, the 3 of them arrived at an exhibition hall that was clearly separated from the others. More than 10 police officers surrounded the hall and stopped anyone from getting near the entrance. Seeing this setup, they knew they had come to the right place. The exhibition hall was quite small, about less than 10 square meters, as it only needed to hold the exhibit called the Hope Diamond. Looking at it this way, the space seemed a bit too big. Barbara. As usual, Harvey, who was guarding the entrance, quickly noticed Barbara and the other 2 on the opposite side of the corridor. "And Dick and the kid from the Thurston family." Harvey walked over and said to the 3 of them, "Hey! Kids, this area is not open to the public yet. You should go somewhere else to visit. Uncle Harvey, are my dad and the Smithsonian Museum representatives who are responsible for handing over the Hope Diamond still inside?" Barbara glanced at the door of the separate exhibition hall and asked. Upon hearing Barbara's words, Harvey suddenly had a bad feeling. "What are you planning to do this time, Barbara?" Harvey warned. "Don't forget, Jim said that the Natural History Museum incident was the first and last time he agreed to let you participate in the GCPD's work against Phantom Thief. Moreover, you brought 2 underage kids this time. If you don't want to see your dad go mad, you better go back home. By the way, have any of you figured out the latest Phantom Thief's notice letter?" Barbara smiled slyly and asked in return. The reason she and Dick had deciphered the riddle of the notice letter but didn't tell the police was precisely for this moment. Chapter 86, Chapter 86, The Unexpected Trio. It doesn't matter if we're wrong, because every time we go wrong, we'll continue to look for the right answer. Hachiman Hikigaya. Refrigeration units were put in the corners, which kept the hall's temperature low all the time. Although it wasn't freezing at 0 degrees, the temperature was low enough to prevent the ice block from melting for a long time, at least throughout the exhibition hours each day. The ice block was almost pure and white, without any dirt or air bubbles. It was so clear that everyone could see objects behind it. At the center of the ice block was a dazzling blue diamond known as the Hope Diamond. In the area of the ice block, people were talking to each other. 3 of them were Jim, Henry, and Kim from the Smithsonian Museum. The last person was a beautiful woman wearing sunglasses and a simple outfit. She appeared to be a security personnel or bodyguard from the Smithsonian Museum. The woman stood behind Kim, facing Jim and Henry. It was possible that she was also with the Smithsonian Museum. "Here, put these on." Dean suddenly heard Harvey's voice. He turned to see Harvey holding 3 sets of warm clothing. There were even more sets of warm clothes in a cabinet behind Harvey, which seemed to have been set up for visitors entering the exhibition hall. After taking the clothes and putting them on, the cold feeling was quickly replaced by warmth. "Harvey! What are you doing? It's not open yet. Who let these people in?" The exhibition hall is so small that 4 people walked in at once. Jim couldn't have missed them, so he stared angrily at Harvey and asked. "Believe me, Jim, I didn't want them to come in either, but who told you to have a smart daughter?" Harvey replied and repeated what Barbara had said. "What?" Barbara deciphered the notice again. Jim quickly walked over and asked. "Let me correct you, it was the three of us who solved it together." Barbara made it clear. "For God's sake, Barbara, didn't you promise never to get involved with Phantom Thief again?" Commissioner Gordon's eyes showed a hint of anger. "Well, Dad, if I remember correctly, I promised not to interfere with the GCPD's investigation of the Phantom Thief." Barbara shrugged. "But I didn't say I wouldn't offer advice for the museum's security work." As soon as she said these words, she skipped Jim and went straight to Kim and Henry. "I'm sorry you had to see that just now. I'm Barbara Gordon, Commissioner Gordon's daughter. I'm here to tell you the time of Phantom Thief's crime and give some advice that might help." Barbara introduced herself to Kim and the others and then explained the thought process behind deciphering the riddle. Phantom Thief used tarot card knowledge this time. Dean and Dick wanted to follow Barbara, but Jim stopped them. Richard Grayson, the adopted son of the Wayne family, and Dean Thurston, the young and famous magician. Jim looked at the two of them warily. "I never realized when my daughter became so close to you guys. Tell me, what is your relationship with Barbara? Especially you, Richard Grayson." Dean and Dick were speechless for a moment as they looked at each other. "Don't be too hard on them, Jim." Harvey walked over, patted Dean and Dick on the shoulder, and said to Jim. "They just want to help." Chapter 87, The Security Measures. Be careful who you trust, Sergeant. Ghost, Modern Warfare 2. Harvey is right, we should listen to what these young people have to say. Suddenly, Kim spoke from the side. "But protecting the diamond and catching the thief is the job of the police, and ordinary citizens should not get involved, especially not kids." Commissioner Gordon said sternly, "I can't even imagine what would happen if something went wrong. What about Batman and his assistants?" A deep female voice came from behind Kim, and it was the female bodyguard speaking. "Do they have the right to interfere with your police work? Isn't Robin also a minor? I've heard that GCPD even opens the bat signal to ask for Batman's help." "Lily." Kim interrupted her before she could continue. Just these words were enough to have a strong impact. Commissioner Gordon's face turned pale, showing how frustrated and helpless he felt. It's not because he was angry, but rather because of a deep sense of powerlessness. No one in the world knows this fact better than Commissioner Gordon. The GCPD needs Batman much more than ordinary people can imagine. The more he understood this fact, the more difficult it became for Commissioner Gordon to make decisions. The existence of vigilantes was a quiet protest against the regular police force, but the regular police force still needed vigilantes to deal with criminals they couldn't handle. It was both ridiculous and sad. Commissioner Gordon couldn't argue with Lily's words, nor could he abandon his principles. They are different from Robin, and the day I was most disappointed with Batman was the day Robin appeared. No matter what, I will never forgive him for dragging a child into his world. Commissioner Gordon spoke softly but firmly. "Well said, too bad that Robin you're talking about is right in front of you." Dean sarcastically thought to himself. Jim's words might have moved Dean if he hadn't known that Robin and Batgirl were there as well. This old police officer has kept his own principles and has been fighting in Gotham for decades without wavering. This perseverance is really admirable. I don't want to undermine you, Commissioner Gordon. I have always had full trust in the Gotham Police Department, but the notice that you have been unable to solve was solved by a few children. I still believe in you and your officers, but I also believe these children have something special about them. They are different from ordinary children. Kim stepped forward and said, "We don't want these children to go to the front lines and fight criminals. We just want to hear their thoughts and suggestions. Maybe they can discover details that we haven't noticed," she continued. "You're absolutely right, Ms. Beckett. Thank you for accepting our help. Barbara replied happily and then introduced Dean to Kim. Let me introduce Dean Thurston. Even though he's young, he is one of the most famous magicians in Gotham. Many master magicians have said that his skills are beyond his years. I bet he will play a very important role in dealing with the Phantom Thief. Dean smiled awkwardly and said, Hello, Ms. Beckett. It's nice to meet you. Before Kim could respond, it was Lily who spoke up from behind her. You are Thurston? I have heard of you. Lily looked at Dean with surprise and said, Tell me, what do you think of this exhibition hall? I'm curious about your opinion. Hey! This sudden question caught Dean off guard, and he didn't quite understand. I forgot to tell you that Lily is a specially recruited security expert from the Smithsonian Institution. She just returned from London and is trained in designing different forms of protection measures. This exhibition hall was specifically designed by her. Kim introduced. In addition, I supplied the tools and materials. On the other side, Henry spoke up to make himself somewhat noticeable. So this exhibition hall was designed by you. Why did you freeze the diamond on ice? And why did you create a cooling machine room for it? Harvey, who was standing behind Dean and the others, also joined about what was going on. Well, I would like to hear Mr. Thurston's thoughts first, from the perspective of a magician, about why we would design it this way. Lily smiled slightly. Dean stretched out his hand and touched his chin and said with a serious expression, To be honest, I really don't like the low temperature in this exhibition hall. In other words, no magician would enjoy a cold environment. As we all know, agility is important in magic, and it depends on how agile your fingers are. At this point, Dean opened his other hand and stretched it out, his thin and light fingers made a few gestures in the air. In a low-temperature environment, the hands get stiff, which makes them less flexible. Even if we wear warm clothes, our fingers won't be as relaxed if our hands are still out in the cold. For magicians who desire perfection, even a slight difference in finger flexibility can cause intense discomfort and greatly increase the possibility of revealing flaws in their performance. Putting the diamond inside the ice block would further deepen the cold effect. Also, this large block of ice is quite tough. Even with a flamethrower, it would be difficult to melt it in a short amount of time. This also helps fulfill the requirements of an exhibition, where the diamond must be easy to see but not too close to the visitors. It's a much better idea than sending a dozen people to surround the exhibition case. As Dean spoke, Harvey's face immediately turned red. Furthermore, this is a very small space, and the number of people entering at once is limited. There aren't many blind spots when it comes to views that can be used, and it's also easier to be noticed when blending into the crowd. After hearing Dean's explanation, Lily nodded in satisfaction. Well said. It's exactly for these reasons that I designed this exhibition hall. She smiled confidently and said, in addition to the cold, the diamond in the ice block is also equipped with an alarm. Once it detects any movement of the diamond or if the signal suddenly disappears, the door of the exhibition hall will be locked instantly. At the same time, the cold air blown by the cooling machine in the corner will switch to hypnotic gas, which will knock out everyone in the exhibition hall at that time, and then we will investigate one by one who stole the diamond. The exhibition hall is completely closed, with only one door as the entrance. There are no other exits or even ventilation shafts. The power supply is also entirely separate because the exhibition hall is a temporary construction and is not connected to the main power grid, and all the equipment inside uses its own separate power sources. This anti-theft design is impressive. The situation is harder than ever before, and that's not even counting Robin, Batgirl, or anyone else. Dean thought seriously as he tried to figure out how to get through such a strong defense. This thought was brought to his mind until the next day. The time has come for April 1st. That is the day that the Phantom Thief will move. Chapter 88, Chapter 88, The Mysterious Incident. I have no enemies at all. Thorfinn, Vinland Saga. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, This is Gotham Channel 7, and I'm your host, Reese White. Recently, the famous gemstone Hope Diamond has caused quite a buzz as it is being exhibited at the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center. As soon as news of this legendary diamond broke, it became the target of many thieves, including the rising star of this year, Phantom Thief. According to Phantom Thief's notice, he will appear tonight at 7:51 p.m. and steal the Hope Diamond. It may not seem like much, but this is Phantom Thief's fifth crime, if you count the first one that was thought to be a prank by mistake. Each of his crimes is high profile and bold. He not only sends out notices before committing the crime but also treats the crime as his personal magic show. He even does magic tricks in public without fear, toying with the cops whenever he wants. It is rumored that besides the Phantom Thief, there is another legendary thief who wants to steal the Hope Diamond. Can the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center protect the diamond well in the face of such a tough challenge? Let's see what happens. At the entrance of the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center, Dean checked the news report on his phone while walking inside. After taking a few steps, he feels someone patting his shoulder from behind. He turns around and sees Dick staring at him with a serious expression. "What's wrong, Dick?" Dean asked with a raised eyebrow. "I want to tell you a secret." Dick cautiously looked around, then whispered to Dean, "Actually, I'm Robin." "What did you say?" Dean was startled when he heard this and froze on the spot as countless thoughts raced through his mind. Why did he suddenly reveal his identity for no reason? What is he trying to do? Could it be a test of my reaction? But why? Have I done anything strange? Seeing Dean's stunned expression, Dick burst into laughter. "Happy April Fool's Day! You got scared, huh? Ha ha ha!" Looking at the smug Dick, Dean's mouth twitches uncontrollably. "Ha ha, you as Robin? Then I might as well say I'm a phantom thief too." Dean glanced at Dick with disdain. "Ha, I won't fall for that. If you want to prank me, you'll have to come up with a better story." Dick smirked confidently. "All right, the joke's over. Did you come here just to play a prank on me?" Dean sighed in frustration. "Of course not. I'm here to tell you that something's happening at the Hope Diamond Exhibition Hall." "What happened? Did someone steal it?" Dean narrowed his eyes. "Luckily, not yet. Let's talk about the details inside the exhibition hall. They're still arguing in there." Dick pointed to the hall behind him and told Dean to hurry up and follow him. Without any more delay, the two of them immediately rushed to the exclusive exhibition hall of Hope Diamond. "I still can't understand why they added an extra box. It's impossible to see the details of the diamond like this. What's the point of the exhibition, Mr. Orpheus?" Dean heard a questioning voice coming from inside before even entering the hall. It sounded like it was Lily's voice. "An additional box?" Dean walked into the exhibition hall with a puzzled expression and found Henry, Kim, and Lily inside. Lily was confronting Henry with anger on her face, while Kim stood helplessly between them. Dean immediately looked at the ice at the center of the exhibition hall. Its shape and size were not much different from yesterday, and the diamond was still inside. The biggest difference was that today, the Hope Diamond inside the ice was not frozen directly. Instead, it was protected in a translucent blue box and then frozen. Moreover, there were strange symbols faintly drawn in this box. Probably this was the box that Lily mentioned just now. "I don't want to add an extra box either, Ms. Lily, but you should have heard about what happened late last night. I had no choice but to do this." Henry spoke with an uneasy expression in response to Lily's question. "I absolutely cannot let my staff experience an accident again. That was just an accident. You don't really believe in the curse of the diamond, do you? Even though I work for the Smithsonian Museum, I have to say that it's a big marketing trick," Lily argued firmly. "In addition, even if the diamond really is cursed, why do you think that box-like thing is useful? Just because it is covered in symbols that no one can understand?" she asked. What happened late last night? Dean turned to ask Dick. The worker who was in charge of putting the diamond on ice died last night in a car crash. Dick's face became serious as he talked about it. Even though it was very cold in the exhibition hall, it was still above the point where ice would melt. So, even the ice blocks that were over 3 meters tall couldn't stay frozen all day long. The exhibition was open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. During the 13-hour exhibition, it was important to keep the ice block containing the Hope Diamond protected. For this reason, the exhibition hall had staff members who were responsible for handling the ice block. After closing the exhibition around 8 p.m., they would turn off the cooling system and let the ice naturally melt to get the diamond. Then they would spend all night refreezing new ice blocks. However, yesterday, the employee who melted the ice and got the diamond died in a car accident on the way home after work. While it wasn't unusual for accidents to happen, there was a critical part at play here: the Hope Diamond, a diamond rumored to bring bad luck or a curse. The employee died after touching the Hope Diamond, and the legends about the diamond were very scary. The staff inside the exhibition hall naturally assumed it was due to a mysterious curse of bad luck. In response, Mr. Orpheus somehow got a small box to keep the Hope Diamond and claimed that it would protect others from the curse of bad luck. Whether the box was truly magical or not is unclear, but Mr. Orpheus firmly believed in its curse. His idea made the other staff members afraid as well. But Lily, who planned everything in the exhibition hall with extreme caution, did not agree. She believed that there was no need for any changes in terms of safety or effectiveness. Especially since Mr. Orpheus' small box had a faint blue color, even though it was transparent, this made the diamond look a little darker when looked at from outside of the ice block. It could even be mistaken for a fake diamond by someone knowledgeable about these things. Lily thought that all of this was not needed and went against the original purpose of exhibiting the Hope Diamond. As a result, the two began to argue. Chapter 89, Cursed. No matter how dark the night, the morning always comes. Lulu, Final Fantasy X. Dick, do you really believe that a diamond can kill people? After listening to Dick's complete explanation, Dean's eyebrows furrowed tightly. To be honest, I don't believe it at all. Dick responded without hesitation. The Hope Diamond has been quietly lying in the Smithsonian Museum for decades, and it has been borrowed out for exhibitions many times. I find it hard to believe that no one has touched it during all those years. But the truth is that since the Hope Diamond was given to the center, there have been no bad luck or deaths until today. Moreover, both Lily and Kim are here, and no one knows better than them whether the curse of the Hope Diamond is real or just a marketing trick. You're right, I also don't really believe in this kind of made-up legend. The accident with the employee was probably just that, an accident. Dean nodded to show that he agreed, but deep down was still worried. He wasn't as confident as Dick and firmly believed that the Hope Diamond had no curse. In fact, Dean had always believed that the Hope Diamond was a real cursed gem, but he only dared to consider it because he had a system that allowed him to avoid bad luck in different ways. What really bothered Dean was actually Mr. Orpheus' mysterious little box. Why did the accident only happen late last night, and yet Mr. Orpheus already had a protective curse item with him today? Isn't that a bit too fast? Where did he get that from? What did he do to get it? Why does he say that this box can protect against bad luck? If Mr. Orpheus just took a random transparent box to stabilize the museum staff's behavior, it is possible, but Dean couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Mr. Orpheus seems like a friendly person with no temper, but now it seems that he might be hiding some secrets. Dean looked at Henry, who was confronting Lily, and thought about it. Henry's gaze was relentless as he spoke to Lily. Lily, no matter what you say today, I won't change my mind. Even if, as you say, the curse doesn't exist, the word has already spread in the exhibition hall. Everyone on staff is afraid that they could be hurt in the next accident. I have to calm them down. Perhaps the color of the box does indeed affect the appearance of the diamond from the outside, and gemology experts might not be happy, but the exhibition is not only for experts. It's for ordinary people who have never seen the famous Hope Diamond before. They won't care about the diamond's slightly dark color or even whether the diamonds inside are real or fake. They just want to see what this famous Hope Diamond actually looks like. I don't think adding a box outside the diamond goes against the original purpose of the exhibition. At this moment, Kim interjected, I believe Mr. Orpheus's thinking is reasonable. Lily, it's very important that every visitor can see every feature of the diamond, but it's even more important that everyone in the diamond stay safe. You shouldn't worry too much about this. Then why not use a colorless transparent box as the container? Why did you use a blue-tinted one? Lily accepted Kim's persuasion and no longer fought over the box but instead asked about the color. Because this is the only color available. Do you think I wouldn't have used a colorless one if I could? Henry answered with a question. Lily was at a loss for words and reluctantly agreed to Henry's arrangement. Since both the box and the diamond were already frozen inside the ice block, it wouldn't be possible to melt the ice now. Dean and Dick, who had seen the whole argument at the entrance, left the exhibition hall quietly and went to a place that was empty. Hey, Dean! Dick suddenly poked Dean's arm and asked, why do you think Lily is so against putting the diamond in the box? She already said it, didn't she? She wants to display the diamonds as perfectly as possible, and she also believes the curse is fake, so adding a box would be unnecessary. Dean answered without hesitation. I don't think it's that simple. Dick shook his head. Lily is a special security expert, and her planning is likely to focus on the protection of the diamonds, and the exhibition result would be the smallest of her concerns. The one who should be worried about that is Kim. But in the end, Lily spoke on behalf of Kim. Hearing Dick's explanation, Dean suddenly realized and his eyes narrowed, are you saying? That's right. I suspect something is off about Lily's identity. Dick turned to look at the exhibition hall, making sure no one noticed them, then continued, either she's using a fake identity or someone is impersonating her. And that person could very well be the Phantom Thief. Dean was shocked, but quickly regained his calm and said firmly, Lily could be the Phantom Thief? We need to tell Commissioner Gordon about this immediately. Wait. Don't say anything yet. Dick quickly covered Dean's mouth. They are coming out. They saw Lily, Kim, and Henry walking out of the exhibition hall. Dick carefully watched as the three of them walked away before lowering his hand. We're just guessing at this point. We don't have any evidence to prove that Lily is being impersonated, so we can't tell Commissioner Gordon yet. We need to gather evidence first. How do we gather evidence? Dean asked eagerly. Just do as I say. I have a task for you. Dick whispered to him, I'll give you a transmitter and a bug. You'll find the opportunity to plant these on Lily. Don't worry about using these devices. It's important for our investigation. Dick reassured. You're a skilled magician, I believe you're just as good as Phantom Thief. Dick had confidence in Dean's abilities, but Dean hesitated, what if I get caught? If she really is the Phantom Thief, I'll be in danger. Well, I have a simple solution for that. You can do it in a crowded place, and even if she notices, she won't make a move immediately. Just call for help from the security guards on the spot. Wow, you've thought it through. So, what's your task? Dean asked. Don't forget what day it is. Lily may or may not be the Phantom Thief, so we can't just focus on her. Dick said seriously, your task is just to hide the transmitter and bug on her. Barbara and I will go to Wayne Tower to see if Phantom Thief will show up there. Okay, then let's split up. Dean nodded and agreed with Dick's plan. Chapter 90, April Fool's Day. Oh yes, the past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. Rafiki, the Lion King. As time passed, the sky slowly darkened. Dean walked through the corridor as if he had nothing to do, casually glancing around as if he had nothing better to do. Not far away from him, a woman wearing sunglasses walked towards him from the opposite direction. It was Lily. "Dean." Lily greeted him as soon as she saw Dean, but he kept walking without stopping. "Hi, Ms. Lily." Dean smiled and said something, then kept moving forward. Soon, the two passed each other and continued walking in their original directions. "How's it going?" Shortly after, Dick's voice came through Dean's earpiece. "Mission accomplished. The transmitter and bug are hidden, and Lily hasn't noticed anything so far." Dean's lips curled up slightly as he responded, "My task is done. What about you guys?" At the same time, near Wayne Tower, Dick in his Robin suit is running forward at full speed between rows of buildings. When the distance between two buildings was close, Dick would just jump over them, using the grappling gun in his hand when he couldn't jump over. Despite running so fast, Dick's breath remained surprisingly steady, and he could even have a normal conversation with Dean while running. "I'm almost near Wayne Tower. I hope to get there before 7:50 p.m. In response to Dean's question, Dick answered slowly, "Barbara and Commissioner Gordon are on the roof of the exhibition hall using binoculars to watch the Wayne Tower and wait for Phantom Thief to show up." "Why are you going to Wayne Tower instead of staying on the rooftop with them?" Dean asked. "Just consider it as me wanting to see Phantom Thief with my own eyes." Dick casually replied, "Dean, Barbara is monitoring Lily. You can go up to the rooftop and wait for Phantom Thief, or you can stay in the exhibition hall to help guard the diamond. I'm going to get busy soon, I'll hang up now." Inside the exhibition hall, Dean ended the call with Dick, but he was quietly happy. Robin went to Wayne Tower, Batgirl and Commissioner Gordon are on the rooftop, and now is the perfect time to do what I need to do. With the planned time approaching, Dean chose to stay in the exhibition hall instead of going to Wayne Tower. He wasn't worried that Phantom Thief's absence would have a negative impact on him because he had planned everything days in advance. Dean glanced at the time and saw that there was still about an hour until 7:50. There is still plenty of time. Dean took out a small display device that looked like a phone. It showed a radar-like image with a noticeable red dot slowly moving. That red dot represented Lily, but the signal did not come from the transmitter Dick gave him. Dick had only asked Dean to help with the bug but hadn't given him the connected receiver. So, Dean hid two different transmitters and bugs on Lily. In that split second when they passed each other just now, Dean successfully completed the task of placing the 4 mini devices on her without being caught. Just like Dick suspected that something was off with Lily, Dean had similar thoughts. But he knew Lily couldn't possibly be the Phantom Thief. If Lily was using a fake identity, that would mean she was another thief eyeing the Hope Diamond, a rival to Dean. This situation was bad for Dean. It's worth mentioning that Lily designed the exclusive exhibition hall for the Hope Diamond. If her purpose was to steal the diamond, she would definitely leave behind some countermeasures against the security measures. And her whole design was based on the Phantom Thief as an imaginary enemy, like using a low-temperature environment to make it harder to move using his fingers or making a room with only one entrance and exit. There might be other traps specifically targeting the Phantom Thief that she hadn't revealed, catching Dean off guard. In short, Dean didn't want Lily to be a real threat. "I need to prepare for the worst. She's currently in the women's bathroom." Based on the position and distance displayed on the signal receiver, Dean quickly thought of Lily's current location. Night falls, and the time for the anticipated appearance of the Phantom Thief is coming close. At this moment, everyone is getting nervous. The police of the GCPD, the staff inside the exhibition hall, Batgirl and Robin, and the people gathered on the streets below Wayne Tower. That's right, at this point, there are not many people left inside the exhibition hall. On the one hand, the exhibition only stays open until 8 p.m. every day, so it's nearly closing time. On the other hand, someone leaked information about Phantom Thief's plans and location to the news, which made them exposed to everyone. The Phantom Thief is now a celebrity in Gotham, so naturally, it has attracted countless people to gather around Wayne Tower. At this moment, there are 4 or 5 helicopters hovering above Wayne Tower. 2 of them were police helicopters from the GCPD, and the rest were from major media outlets like Gotham TV and Gotham Gazette. There are photographers and reporters on board running live broadcasts. Hello, everyone, I'm Vicky Vale, a reporter from Gotham Gazette, and I'm currently above Wayne Tower. You can see that there is someone on top of Wayne Tower. Let's zoom in a bit, okay? Can you all see it? That's Robin. He must be waiting there for the Phantom Thief to appear. Let's boldly imagine what will happen later. The rooftop of the Ophi Jewelry Exhibition Hall is located several kilometers west of Wayne Tower. Jim, Harvey, Barbara, Kim, Henry, and several police officers are standing there, using binoculars to look towards the top of Wayne Tower. Time is almost up. Helicopter 1, Helicopter 2, report your status. Commissioner Gordon used the communicator to contact the 2 helicopters and ask. Reporting, sir. Everything is normal. Wait. We've got something. Just as the helicopter pilots were about to report that everything was normal, they suddenly stopped and changed their words. There is an unidentified flying object on the radar approaching Wayne Tower from the southeast. Hearing this, Jim immediately moves his binoculars towards the southeast. He sees a white glider rapidly approaching Wayne Tower. Just like last time, this glider is equipped with an engine on its tail, allowing it to maintain stable flight even in the middle of the airflow caused by the helicopter rotors. The difference is that this glider heading towards Wayne Tower is much larger. It's at least 3 to 4 times bigger than the glider Phantom Thief usually uses, which makes it noticeable in the sky. On the rooftop of Wayne Tower, Robin, who had been waiting for a long time, stood up and stared at the rapidly approaching white glider at high speed. However, when the white glider is about to reach the top of Wayne Tower, it suddenly takes a turn and circles around to the northwest side of the tower. Then there was a clattering sound. A huge banner suddenly opens beneath the glider, wrapping around half of Wayne Tower. The banner carries a large message written in large letters that even people on the ground can read, and when they saw it, everyone couldn't help but smile. Happy April Fool's Day! Chapter 91, Chapter 91, Easter. One day, you're going to look around and you're going to realize that everybody loves you, but nobody likes you. And that is the loneliest feeling in the world. BoJack Horseman, BoJack Horseman. What? On the top of the Wayne Tower, Robin looked at the huge banner that suddenly unfolded, covering almost half of the rooftop, and his face turned extremely gloomy. Yes, it was April Fool's Day, and playing pranks and fooling people was a tradition on this day. But Robin never expected the Phantom Thief to use this prank on his notice letter. Wait, if the notice letter was just an illusion to fool us from beginning to end, then is Phantom Thief not going to steal the diamond or not come to Wayne Tower? Thinking about this, Robin immediately turned around and looked toward the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center, several kilometers away. If Phantom Thief intended to get everyone's attention to Wayne Tower and then use the opportunity to steal the Hope Diamond. Oh no! Robin anxiously contacted Dean. Are you on the rooftop or still in the exhibition hall? Inside a bathroom in the exhibition hall, Dean received Dick's call. I haven't gone to the rooftop yet. So, did you see Phantom Thief? No, the Phantom Thief didn't show up. The notice letter was a complete trick, he fooled all of us. When talking to Dean, Robin didn't have his voice changed as usual. He used his original voice. The banner that says Happy April Fool's Day is incredibly huge. I can see it clearly from the ground. It seems that this thief really enjoys playing pranks. He actually pulled off such a prank show. Dean chuckled in amazement. It may not be that simple. I suspect that the Phantom Thief might be planning to steal the diamond while most people are distracted. Have you noticed anyone suspicious in the exhibition hall? No, everything seems normal here for now. Dean naturally replied, although he wasn't in the exhibition hall at the moment. That's good. He probably hasn't started his move yet. Don't act recklessly, Dean. If you see anyone suspicious, immediately tell me, or inform Commissioner Gordon or Detective Bullock. In any case, don't do anything dangerous on your own. Don't worry, I'll take care of myself. After hanging up the phone, Dean showed a faint smile on his face. Ladies and gentlemen, the Phantom Thief has not appeared. The white glider only carried a huge banner saying Happy April Fool's Day. Could it be that his earlier notice letter was just a prank for everyone in Gotham? In the sky above Wayne Tower, Vicky Vale pointed at the banner while speaking in front of the camera. On the ground, most people had smiles on their faces. In Gotham, it was quite terrifying when criminals played pranks on people. The more serious the prank, the more people would end up hurt. But everyone knew that the Phantom Thief had never taken a life since his show. His jokes were obviously just simple jokes. And he literally tricked people into believing that Phantom Thief would really appear on top of Wayne Tower, which was a very successful April Fool's joke. However, there were a few people whose way of thinking was different from others. They didn't think that Phantom Thief was just playing an April Fool's prank. What April Fool's prank? I think Phantom Thief is afraid that the Hope Diamond curse will come true. Probably. I heard that since that exhibition started, many people have had accidents because of that diamond, and some even died. Is that true? Can a diamond be that magical? That would explain why Phantom Thief pulled off this whole stunt today. The people nearby who liked Phantom Thief overheard their conversation and became unhappy. What nonsense are you talking about? The Phantom Thief is not a coward. Back then, even with hundreds of GCPD police officers and Robin and Batgirl, they couldn't defeat Phantom Thief. How can a mere diamond from an unknown legend scare him? Is it so hard to admit someone else is talented? We were talking about Phantom Thief, not you. What's your rush? It's not like Phantom Thief is your father. Just a petty little thief who knows some magic tricks, and there are people who support even this kind of criminal. Gotham's future is really dark. On top of Wayne Tower, Robin was unaware of the argument among the citizens on the ground. After ending his communication with Dean, he was in a hurry to return to the exhibition center. However, just as he was about to jump directly down from the tower, he suddenly noticed something weird about the banner in front of him. Looking closer, he saw that there was something like a balloon connected to the banner and the huge white glider hovering in mid-air, and there seemed to be something painted on it. Since the balloon was on the back of the banner, only Robin could see it. Robin pressed a switch on the side of his eye mask to turn on the telescope mode. This made the image instantly get bigger. There was indeed a quite large balloon with a diameter of about half a meter and a cartoon image of the Phantom Thief's smirking face painted on it. On top of the cartoon face, there was a noticeable red X, as if telling Robin to hit here. Robin stared at the balloon in silence for a moment. He then looked at the distance between the tower and the ground, as well as the distance to the helicopter above. If the balloon contained an instant explosive bomb, it would hurt only him at most. And he also believed that the Phantom Thief wouldn't use a bomb. So, Robin stepped back more than 10 meters and threw a boomerang quickly and accurately hit the red X on the balloon with a swift throw. Bang! The sharp boomerang cut right through the balloon, which made a loud noise. After that, a lot of white cards flew out of the inside balloon and went in all directions due to the updraft created by the helicopters. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Robin was quick on his feet, and he ran over quickly to grab a card in the air above Wayne Tower. As he looked at the card, Robin's pupils suddenly shrank. It turned out to be another notice from Phantom Thief. And it wasn't a riddle this time, it was a very straightforward crime notice. Today, I just played a small joke on everyone. I hope you don't take it to heart. On the day of the Savior's resurrection, I will take away the hope diamond that brings misfortune. Yours sincerely, Phantom Thief. The day of the Savior's resurrection, isn't that referring to Easter? This year's Easter is on April 3rd, which means that Phantom Thief's real move date wasn't not April 1st but Easter. The cards from Phantom Thief scattered in the wind and were picked up by people on the ground. When fans of Phantom Thief saw what was on the card, they were overjoyed by the content. Look! The Phantom Thief said he would steal the diamond on Easter. I knew it. Phantom Thief isn't afraid of any diamond. He was just following the tradition of April Fool's Day. There were some people who thought he was scared. They have no idea what they're talking about. Chapter 92, Chapter 92, The Terrifying Shadow of the Bat. I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them. Andy Bernard, The Office. Sir, something new has happened. On the rooftop of the Orhepus Jewelry Exhibition Center, Gordon's communicator rang. It was a message from the pilots of the 2 police helicopters above. What's the situation? Jim asked anxiously. The Orhepus Jewelry Exhibition Hall Center was too far from Wayne Tower. It was impossible for the cards to blow all the way there. So Jim and his team could only get information about the situation through the helicopters. What did you say? The Phantom Thief changed the crime date, and he's planning to steal the diamond on Easter. Jim's face twitched with anger. What's going on? He had put so much effort into setting up the defenses and the security measures inside the exhibition. They had set up a trap for the Phantom Thief and were just waiting for him to walk into it. But now he said today is April Fool's Day, a joke, and that he would come some other day? Jim was almost so angry that he wanted to spit out blood. Jim, it seems Phantom Thief won't be coming today. It's already closing time. Do you think we should switch the shifts? Harvey asked as he came. When the people on the next shift arrive, you can go back, but I need to stay here for a bit longer. Jim took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, our opponent is not only the Phantom Thief, she might show up too. Harvey nodded in agreement. You're right. I'll stay here with you. On the other side, Barbara secretly made contact with Robin. I'll need some more time to get back. Robin held onto his grappling gun and slid down quickly from the top of Wayne Tower. You know, I need to find a hidden place first to change back into regular clothes. Don't worry, I'm here. Barbara reassured Robin. I think Phantom Thief probably won't pull 2 April Fool's Day pranks. He most likely won't come today, so the person we need to focus on now is Lily. Robin reminded her. I know. I've been keeping a close eye on her the whole time. Barbara lowered her head and looked at the tablet in her hand, where the floor plan of the exhibition hall was displayed. A yellow dot was continuously moving on it. The other one was still playing a lot of loud sounds, like footsteps and people talking. Lily was patrolling inside the exhibition hall, which is her daily job. Even though it might seem strange that Barbara used one earphone to listen in on Lily and the other to talk to Robin, she was used to it. Today's events are finally over, Commissioner Gordon and Detective Bullock. I need to handle the closing of the exhibition now. We have to arrange for staff to melt the ice and maintain the equipment in the exhibition hall. Henry approached Jim and Harvey. In any case, it's a good thing that Phantom Thief didn't carry out his crime today. Thank you, everyone from the GCPD, for your efforts. Where's the hard work? We basically didn't do anything. Jim said he was ashamed. Anyway, as long as the Hope Diamond remains in the ice, we are successful. The exhibition will continue until April 4th, and Phantom Thief will strike on the second to last day. As long as we keep the diamond safe on that day, I don't think anyone will think about it again. Henry said it calmly and with a smile. It's getting late, I'll go arrange the work first. After saying that, Henry left the rooftop. At this moment, there were no more visitors in the exhibition hall, only the staff of the exhibition and the police from GCPD. The exhibition staff was responsible for daily maintenance, cleaning, and equipment repairs, while the police were tasked with guarding and patrolling. Shortly after, Henry arrived at the separate hall of the Hope Diamond. Just as he arrived, he saw two employees carrying different repair tools coming towards him. "Sir!" Seeing Henry, the two staff hurriedly greeted him. "How many times have I told you, don't call me like that in the exhibition hall? All you need to do is do your job well," Henry warned the two staff. "The maintenance of the Hope Diamond exhibition is of the highest importance, and we cannot allow any accidents to happen." Because the Hope Diamond exhibition hall was completely separate, the equipment inside could not be monitored for defects through a central control system. Therefore, in order to ensure that the protective measures inside the exhibition room work properly, manual maintenance must be done every day. At the same time, so that Phantom Thief couldn't disguising to be a maintenance worker, the job of doing maintenance was assigned to a different person every day, and there was no set schedule. He personally arranged the staff for each day. "Yes, sir, we will definitely do our job well." The two employees quickly responded and then walked into the exhibition hall under the watchful eyes of Henry. "First, let's turn on the cooling system and let the ice melt slowly." After standing there for a while, Henry left. As he turned around, one of the staff in the exhibition hall gave him a meaningful glance. After some time, all the closing tasks had been completed and the night shift police arranged by the GCPD had all arrived. The three members of the kids' team, Barbara, Dick, and Dean, finally gathered together. To be precise, it was Dean and Barbara who had been waiting for Dick to return. "Where the heck did you go before? Does it really take so long to get back from Wayne Tower?" Dean asked curiously, seeing Dick return sweating and tired. I could have come back earlier, but I encountered a little accident on the way." Dick scratched his head and chuckled. Dick was so used to it that he never walked at night on streets with bright lights. But when he walks the smaller paths and dark alleys, he can truly experience the wonderful parts of Gotham. Along the way, he encountered 3 robberies, 4 fights, and 2 pickpocket incidents. How could Dick, as the amazing boy wonder robot, ignore all that? That's why he ended up getting delayed until now. You guys have no idea how many people were gathered at Wayne Tower. Although Phantom Thief is a criminal, I have to admit he's like a celebrity in Gotham. Dick exaggeratedly said, the street was filled with people for 3 or 4 blocks. I could hardly move an inch and almost got squashed. It took a lot of effort to escape. Is Phantom Thief Kid really that popular? Barbara said this while covering her mouth in surprise. Dean looked at the two and smirked, thinking, keep playing, keep playing. I almost believed it at first. I'm really tired today. Why do you two still look so energetic? Anyway, I'm going home first. Dean yawned and said it wearily. Thanks for your help today, Dean. I also need to get back home quickly, or Alfred will nag me about staying up late all the time. Dick said it sincerely as he waved goodbye to Dean. Late at night, Henry was ready to go home after finishing all his work. A bright light suddenly blinded him as he turned a corner. Henry Orpheus, I have a question for you. A deep, husky voice that sounded like a demonic creature came from the source of light. The intense light quickly dissipated and Henry looked up. He saw a very tall and muscular figure appear before him, with the shadow of a bat faintly visible in the deep of the strong light. Chapter 93, Batman. In this life we cannot do great things. We can only do small things with great love. Mother Teresa. He was nearly 2 meters tall and had bulging muscles on his arms that looked bigger than a normal person's thighs. His tight black battlesuit showed off his muscular body and made it clear that he was not someone to mess with. Batman! Henry screamed out in shock, his face turning pale as he stuttered, and his tongue seemed to be in knots. I haven't done anything bad. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Just as he finishes speaking, the bright light suddenly dims and blinds Henry. Tell me, where did you get this thing? Immediately after, Batman's hoarse voice echoes from behind him. The two were so close that Henry could almost feel Batman's breath on his neck, sending shivers down his spine. Henry is scared and turns around quickly. When he does, he sees Batman holding up a picture in front of him. In the photo, there is a clear image of the Hope Diamond kept in the exhibition hall. But Batman is not pointing at the diamond or the ice block, he is pointing at the transparent box surrounding the diamond. Yes, it was the same box that Henry claimed he brought out to calm people down after an employee was rumored to have died from a curse. After seeing the photo, Henry's pupils immediately shrank, and he nervously asked, "WH? Why are you asking about this? Don't answer a question with another question." Batman's tone becomes even more aggressive, and his already hoarse and creepy voice gets even more serious. "I bought it at a grocery store randomly," Henry responded while trying to avoid the question. "Are you sure?" Batman asked coldly. "I checked all the grocery stores around your home and the exhibition hall but couldn't find any boxes similar to yours." Grabbing Henry's collar, Batman threatened, "If you don't tell the truth, I'll break your limbs and throw you into the sewers to keep you company with Killer Croc." At the same time, his massive right fist clenched tightly as if ready to hit Henry. "No, no, please don't do that. I'll talk. Henry surrendered on the spot because he knew Batman's infamous reputation in Gotham and had no doubt at all that he would follow through on his threats. "That box was actually given to me by Penguin's men. If I didn't do as they said, they would have destroyed my exhibition center." Henry blurted it out. "The Penguin?" Batman pondered silently why Penguin would be involved in this matter. "Next question." Batman kept pretending while trying to figure out what the Penguin was up to. "What's the deal with the diamond in the exhibition? It has been kept in the Smithsonian Museum for decades without anyone dying from its curse, but the moment it arrived in Gotham, it killed an employee at an exhibition hall who was close to it. Is it possible for such a thing to happen in this world?" Batman stared at Henry, and his sharp eyes seemed to pierce right through his heart. I really can't say. If I tell you, I'll be killed." Henry hesitated, and struggle filled his eyes. Seeing Henry beg desperately, Batman released his grip on the collar. Just as Henry thought that Batman might be showing some mercy, he suddenly lost his balance when his right foot gave him strong pulling sensations. Strangely, Henry did not fall to the ground but instead flipped over, with his head towards the ground and his feet in the air. In his view, the ground was getting farther away, and he was getting higher and higher. It was like someone had tied a rope to his foot and kept pulling him up. That's exactly what happened. As the height continued to increase, Henry instinctively began to feel fear. After about 10 seconds, Henry was hanging in the air several meters high, with the rope around his feet secured to the railing on the rooftop. Batman stood on the roof and spoke at Henry, who was hanging from a rope. "Answer my question." He crouched down and shook the rope, which made Henry feel lighter and scared at the same time. "If you don't start talking, I'll cut the rope and let you fall," Batman said calmly. "No. You can't do that. You never kill anyone." Henry panicked and quickly reminded Batman. "I don't want to kill, but if I accidentally slip and untie the rope, then it's just skill issues." Batman's face remained calm. "So, if you don't want that to happen, tell me what I want to know." As Batman spoke, Henry felt the rope shake even more violently, as if it could break at any moment. I. Henry's thoughts started to waver. When seeing this, Batman untied the rope from the railing and let go of his grip, and let Henry fall towards the ground. "Ah!" Henry let out a terrified scream. The rope quickly pulled down due to the weight of an adult, but thankfully Batman had left a long rope at the top, so it didn't run out in such a short time. After a short moment of releasing the rope, Batman grabbed the rope again and tied it back to the railing again. At this point, Henry is completely terrified, with a pale face and sweat pouring down. Before Batman can even ask him, Henry immediately speaks up and spills all the information he knows voluntarily. Before the exhibition started, a dozen criminals from the Penguin gang approached me and gave me a strange box. Inside the box was a stone that looked similar to a hope diamond. They forced me to replace the hope diamond in the hall with that stone. They warned me I shouldn't open the box. I don't know what that stone is, but it's definitely not a diamond or any kind of gem I recognize. But I'm sure it's a truly terrifying object. A real stone of misfortune. The employee died because he touched that stone because he opened the box at that time. I know it sounds absurd, but I swear every word is true. That stone must be sealed inside the box to contain its evil power. Henry explained everything in one breath and then begged, "Batman. That's all I know, they didn't tell me any more information. They just asked you to replace the real diamond and nothing else." Batman asked with a hint of confusion. "Absolutely." Henry spoke firmly. "That's all they told me to do." "Then where is the real hope diamond?" Batman continues to ask. "I put it in." Chapter 94, Chapter 94, The Disguise. If you win, you live. If you lose, you die. If you don't fight, you can't win. Eren Yeager, AOT. Sometime, in a quiet corner of Gotham City. Huff, it's so hot. Dean took off his bat-shaped helmet and let out a sigh of relief. His forehead was covered in beads of sweat, and his back was already soaked with sweat. He didn't just take off the helmet, he also removed the batsuit and the thick layer of silicone muscles, and the nearly 10 cm soled boots. As soon as he took off all these things, Dean immediately felt several pounds lighter, as if he had come back to life. Yes, Henry didn't actually meet the real Batman earlier, he met Dean, who was in disguise. The reason for putting on a suit was because Batman's reputation in Gotham was too powerful, and he is good at doing everything. Henry told him everything simply because he was scared, which might not have happened with anyone else. Moreover, how could an elegant and classy phantom thief like him do a violent interrogations? It just wasn't right. To be honest, it wasn't easy to pretend to be Batman in this heavy outfit, and it almost suffocated him. The batsuit he was wearing wasn't made of high-tech materials, it was purely a cheap replica made of plastic and a little bit of metal. Dean started by using a flashlight to shine a bright light, then abruptly turned it off and moved behind Henry to avoid being recognized. This created the illusion that Batman appeared and disappeared in the blink of an eye. With his eyes still adjusting to the bright light, it was hard to focus on the details of the batsuit. Luckily, Dean did a good job, and Henry didn't see through his disguise, so he successfully got the information he wanted. Cough, cough, cough. Damn it, just a few words, and my throat feels so uncomfortable. Isn't Batman tired of talking like this every day? Isn't he afraid that he might lose his voice one day? Dean coughed heavily and couldn't help but complain. Never thought this would be another scheme by the Penguin gang. He placed the fake Batman costumes parts on the ground and thought about them. Last time, it was bad enough that he hired Firefly to kill me using a dragon's egg ruby necklace as bait, and this time, he somehow managed to get the real Stone of Misfortune. Sure, I exposed his money laundering scam, but does he really have to go to such extremes to kill me? What grudge does he hold against me? Moreover, the one who revealed the whole story was Vicky Vale, right? I only provided some assistance. Why did Penguin have to target me instead of seeking revenge on Vicky? Dean didn't quite understand why the Penguin had such a strong hatred for him. He also couldn't understand why Vicky, out of all the reporters in Gotham, was the only one who gained the favor of all the supervillains. It was rumored that Vicky once interviewed the Joker face-to-face, not in a prison or Arkham, but at a crime scene full of hostages. In that situation, she had the courage to criticize the crimes committed by the Joker, and the Joker didn't even get angry. They even seemed to have a friendly conversation. As if an invisible force was mysteriously protecting Vicky. It seems I need to find a way to make the Penguin suffer a bit. He doesn't intend to let me off easily. Dean rubbed his chin and pondered. The Stone of Misfortune, maybe I can make good use of it. On the other side, Wayne Manor. Dick returned home, dragging his exhausted and mentally drained body. "Welcome back, Master Richard." Alfred came out to greet him, and he asked with a half-smile on his face. "Did the mission go well today?" "Don't teasing me, Alfred. I'm sure you already know. There was a live media broadcast at Wayne Tower. Everyone will know that Phantom Thief played a huge prank on Gotham for April Fool's Day." Dick shook his head and sighed. "I should have been prepared when I deciphered the date as April 1st. But I actually believed he would move today. I underestimated how playful Phantom Thief can be. It's intriguing to have a criminal with such a mindset. It's really hard to say if that's good or bad." Dick sighed. "Well, if it's playful without anyone getting hurt, I don't think it's a bad thing. Honestly, I feel the same way as you do, Master Richard. I don't dislike Phantom Thief." Alfred chuckled. Hearing Alfred's words, Dick looked at him curiously. "Master Richard, perhaps you haven't noticed, but on the day Phantom Thief committed his crime, especially during his public performance, the overall crime rate in Gotham went down. Even though there are still a lot of crimes in the city, the crime rate has dropped down." "Really?" Dick's face showed a surprised expression. He didn't dislike Phantom Thief simply because he felt that deep down, Phantom Thief wasn't bad and he hadn't committed any truly unforgivable crimes. But he never thought that when the Phantom Thief showed up, the crime rate in Gotham would actually go down. "Yes, Master Richard. You can check all the recent crimes on the Bat computer. The overall numbers have indeed dropped." Dick still found it hard to believe. Upon careful consideration, Dick noticed that after Phantom Thief's performance, the number of criminals he encountered during his night patrols seemed to go down. Especially tonight, when Dick returned from Wayne Tower, he only encountered 3 robberies on the way, which was low compared to the usual 5 or 6. This made Dick realize something new about Phantom Thief. The next day, April 2nd. On this day, Dean didn't come to the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Center. After all, Phantom Thief's crime was scheduled for the 3rd day. Dean was just a staged magician and not a real detective, so he wouldn't be of much use if the Phantom Thief didn't show up. There was also a risk of encountering other thieves and potential danger. That's why Dick didn't ask Dean to come today. Dick and Barbara arrived at the exhibition early. Their task was different from Dean's. They were here to protect the diamond from being stolen. "What did you say?" As soon as Dick and Barbara entered the exhibition hall, they heard Henry angrily scolding 2 workers. He revealed some shocking information in his words. "Last night, I saw both of you enter the Hope Diamond exhibition hall to perform maintenance on the equipment. But now you're telling me that you fell asleep, didn't have enough time to finish the job, and woke up at home." Henry pointed angrily at one of the maintenance workers. "Then who did I see yesterday? Was it the Phantom Thief? And you?" At that moment, he pointed at the other worker. "I specifically assigned you and your partner to maintain the exhibition hall last night. How did Phantom Thief find out about this? And you didn't even recognize your own work partner." Chapter 95, Chapter 95, The Hidden Setup. If it's possible for one person to be hurt by another, then it's possible for that person to be healed by another. Soma Hattori, Fruits Basket. Henry reprimanded 2 employees, who hung their heads in shame while remaining silent and embarrassed. At that moment, Barbara stepped forward and said, "Mr. Henry, our first priority should be to quickly confirm whether the diamond is safe. We all know how skilled the Phantom Thief is with his disguises. It's understandable that your employees recognize him." Dick also said, "Ms. Gordon is right. Our main task should be to ensure that the Hope Diamond is still in the exhibition hall. Let's put aside the blame for now." Hearing their voices, Henry, who was angered just moments ago, was about to retort with something like, "Are you teaching me how to do my job?" But some of his anger calmed down when he turned around and saw who was talking. It was Commissioner Gordon's daughter and the adopted son of the Wayne family. Henry's expression softened and he said, "Mr. Grayson, Ms. Gordon, I have already checked earlier, and the Hope Diamond is still in the ice block and has not been stolen." Hearing this, Dick and Barbara exchanged glances and saw the same hint of confusion in each other's eyes. If Phantom Thief Kid disguised himself as a worker and entered the exhibition hall yesterday, why didn't he take the opportunity to steal the Hope Diamond? "Mr. Henry, are you absolutely sure that the diamond in the ice block is the Hope Diamond? Is there a possibility that Phantom Thief placed it there to confuse us with a fake?" Dick asked, pinching his chin. "After all, the diamond is inside a translucent box with a blue tint, and it is impossible to verify its authenticity with the naked eye. You can rest assured on that point, I am very sure it is real," Henry replied without hesitation. Even the maintenance worker who previously entered the exhibition hall with the fake employees added, "After we finished the maintenance work yesterday and left the exhibition hall, there was still a large amount of the ice block that hadn't melted. I'm quite sure he didn't have the time to steal the diamond back then. After that, it was other workers who were responsible for storing the diamond and freezing it back into the ice block. They were under constant surveillance the entire time and never even opened the box, let alone stole the Hope Diamond." Dick's eyebrows furrowed deeply. If what they were saying was true, then the Phantom Thief indeed did not steal the diamond, but why? Was it because he had said he was going to steal it on Easter, so he didn't plan to do it earlier and just wanted to do some observation in the exhibition hall first? Or perhaps the Phantom Thief found that the security level in the exhibition hall was too high and he didn't have a chance to make a move, so he had to temporarily retreat. Anyway, it's best to thaw the ice and thoroughly inspect the diamond. Barbara spoke up. But as soon as she finished speaking, Henry quickly intervened, "No. We can't do that." Others might not know, but he was well aware of what was inside the ice. It wasn't just the Hope Diamond, but rather the real Stone of Misfortune. If that stone were opened to see if it was real or not, everyone there would have misfortune and meet a terrible fate. Before the exhibition ends or the Phantom Thief steals it, the Stone of Misfortune must absolutely remain closed. Both Dick and Barbara turned their gazes to him and asked him at the same time, "Why not?" The exhibition is about to start. If we melt the ice block now, how can we explain it to the visitors? How can we explain it to the Smithsonian Museum?" Henry quickly came up with a somewhat convincing excuse. "If we don't handle it properly, the outside world may think that the diamond has already been stolen. Then, those ruthless media outlets will add fuel to the fire by saying that our exhibition hall is useless in terms of security. No one will trust this exhibition hall again. For this exhibition, I have almost exhausted all of my savings. I can't afford this loss." With a mournful expression on his face, Henry played the emotional card with Dick and Barbara. Leaving aside the fact that Phantom Thief barely had time to steal the diamond, even if he did, he would probably return it. "How can you think like that?" Barbara and Dick exclaimed angrily. "I don't want to think that way either, but reality forces me to. There are over 100 employees in the exhibition hall who need to be paid. I have to protect the reputation of the exhibition hall." Henry talked like he couldn't do anything, and he even believed what he said. "Who told you to take this gamble and take over such an important exhibition plan as Hope Diamond? If you wanted to gain fame with this plan and had no confidence in facing failure, then you shouldn't have done this business in the first place." Dick wanted to say this, but seeing the sad expression on Henry's face, he decided to hold his words back. "What are you all doing here?" At this moment, Kim and Lily from the Smithsonian Museum came from a distance, and Jim and Harvey were also behind. Barbara next to them explained the whole situation to several people and then said, "The plan to melt the ice block and examine the diamond can be postponed, but I suggest we thoroughly search the exhibition hall. Phantom Thief is not likely to make a move on the diamond before Easter. However, he is highly likely to set up hidden traps in the exhibition hall to prepare for his plans." As Barbara said this, a flash appeared in her eyes, we've always failed to catch the phantom thief because we never knew when he set up traps at the crime scene. But this time, phantom thief has made a mistake. In Jim's view, the safest approach would be to immediately check the diamond. Once confirmed as real, they would cancel the exhibition and quickly send the diamond back to the Smithsonian Museum with Harvey. Unfortunately, the cops were only in charge of security, and Jim didn't have the authority to interfere with the exhibition's planning. Henry was firm in his position, so Jim didn't say anything else. Jim, Kim, and Harvey all agreed that the thorough search that his daughter suggested was a good idea. Even Henry couldn't find a reason to object. Only Lily, upon hearing about the thorough search of the exhibition hall, had a slight shrank in her pupils. The independent exhibition hall of the Hope Diamond was not large, and the inside search was quickly completed. The more they searched, the more surprises they found. There were actually quite a few hidden traps. The first one was a corner with a secret tunnel under the floor that led to a place nobody knew. Inside the closet where the warming coats were stored, they also found a secret compartment. Inside the compartment were gas masks, clearly meant for triggering the automatic closing of doors and the release of a hypnotic gas after setting off the alarm. Also, all the equipment in the exhibition hall had a strange part or two hidden within, which didn't disrupt the device's functions. It was almost impossible to detect any issues during regular maintenance. Chapter 96, Chapter 96, Suspicion. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life. Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Star Trek, Picard. In this meticulous search, the strange components hidden in the compartment were revealed. After collecting all of them, they could be assembled into an ice-breaking drill. Gas masks, the parts of the ice-breaking drill, hidden routes for escape. Hiss. When all these items and secret routes hidden in the exhibition hall were discovered, everyone present couldn't help but gasp. Phantom Thief's preparations were clearly designed specifically to counter the security measures in the exhibition hall. There were basically two types of protection measures in the exhibition hall. One was the huge block of solid ice containing the diamonds. Even though ice is fragile, once it got big enough, it was harder to break than steel. It worked really well as a vault. But with the ice-breaking electric drill, the ice could be broken through quickly, no matter how thick or heavy it was. Also, Phantom Thief didn't have to drill all the way through the ice block. He only had to make a hole big enough to get the diamond out. The other measure was that the exhibition hall would automatically become a sealed space once the alarm was triggered. The doors would lock tightly, and the cooling system would switch to a hypnotic gas release. There were two ways to set off the alarm, one was for the diamonds to move, and the other was for the ice blocks to move violently. Even if a curious visitor accidentally hit the ice block with his bare hands and hit it hard, the alarm would go off. Obviously, if someone looked suspicious on the monitors, the people in the control room could manually sound the alarm and notify the GCPD. To ensure the smooth effectiveness of the hypnotic gas, the automatically locked doors would remain closed for about 2 minutes. For a skilled thief, 2 minutes is more than enough time to drill through an ice block, especially if they have a gas mask that protects them from hypnotic gases. The biggest problem is escaping from a closed area once the alarm goes off and the police surround the exhibition hall. But this doesn't pose a problem for the Phantom Thief. It's not clear how he dug a secret route in the exhibition hall, but it does exist and leads to a hallway behind the walls of the hall. To be honest, the secret route isn't very long, it's only about 5 or 6 meters long in all. It's not impossible for someone to do it in a few days if they work hard enough. Just thinking about it is terrifying. If the Phantom Thief had used these things, stealing the Hope Diamond would have been a piece of cake. Henry trembled with fear as he looked at the gas mask and the ice drill. This exhibition hall can no longer be used. Commissioner Gordon said it in a serious tone. There were so many things hiding in plain sight. No one can be sure what the Phantom Thief might have done in places we can't see. This exhibition hall is no longer safe. The Hope Diamond needs to be moved to a different place. But, Ms. Kim, Mr. Henry, and Ms. Lily, do you have any problems with this? After seeing something so unexpected, no one dared say that the exhibition hall's security defense was flawless. Even Lily, who had always been confident in the ice block's security measures, agreed to the idea of moving the exhibition. There was still some time before the exhibition started, so they needed to quickly move the Hope Diamond to another exhibition hall. But in order to do that, they had to get the diamond from the ice block. The other exhibition halls didn't have the same low temperature as the separate exhibition hall, and the ice block would melt quickly, so it wasn't enough to keep the exhibition going all day. They couldn't wait for the ice block to melt on its own, as they needed to get the diamond quickly. They used the ice drill they had found to make a hole in the ice block. After that, Mr. Henry took the box with the diamond out very carefully, making sure not to let even one gap open. Not long after that, the separate exhibition hall made just for the Hope Diamond was shut down, even though it had only been used for 3 days. This meant that all the money spent on it had been wasted. Henry looked like he was very upset, but he wasn't really that upset. But he acted extremely anxious, almost to the point where anyone could see it on his face. After that, everyone started to get busy. When the Hope Diamond was moved to a different exhibition hall, most of the previous defenses had to be changed, which took a lot of time and work. Phantom Thief's crime is tomorrow, and today, he's given us such a big problem. After finally relocating the Hope Diamond to another exhibition hall and arranging for security to guard it, Harvey complained to Jim. This guy definitely has ulterior motives. In my opinion, he doesn't really care about that diamond, he's just trying to have fun at our expense. So, if you don't want it to be normal for people to laugh at our expense, then stop being so careless. Be serious and try to find Phantom Thief as soon as possible. Jim retorted. Hey! Where am I being careless? I'm always serious when I'm working on a case. Harvey defended himself. Harvey, do you really think those things in the exhibition hall were all prepared by the Phantom Thief? Suddenly, Jim asked. Jim, you don't really think I'm that naive, do you? Harvey replied in surprise. If it was just the gas masks and drill parts, we could say Phantom Thief disguised himself as maintenance and placed them there. But that secret route? I can't believe Phantom Thief had enough time to dig that. And I don't believe that guy would use a simple way like a tunnel to escape. Jim nodded and became serious. The most likely person to have dug that secret course is the one who designed the separate exhibition hall, Lily. I ordered a few of my men to keep a close eye on Lily just now, but they lost track of her, and there's no trace of her on the surveillance footage. Meanwhile, Barbara and Dick had discreetly changed into the Batgirl and Robin suits and quietly approached a bathroom inside the exhibition hall. The women's bathroom. She's inside. Barbara looked at the signal location displayed on her tablet and turned to Dick. I'll go in first to check. When I signal, you can come in. Dick nodded. Barbara approached the bathroom door silently and swung it open abruptly. Wow, you look even more like Batman than Robin. I guess you're the Batgirl they talk about in the newspapers, right? A seductive voice came from inside. There stood a sexy woman wearing a tight black leather suit and pants, a black mask, and 2 cat ears on her head. She held a long leather whip in her hand. She seemed to be at least 2 levels more attractive than Barbara. Chapter 97, Chapter 97, The Return of Catwoman. Starting tomorrow, we're basically strangers again. Fujimiya Amini, the angel next door spoils me rotten. Catwoman. Barbara's face was serious as she looked at the pretty woman in front of her. I heard that you quit this business 2 years ago, but I didn't expect you to start again today. Why? Sometimes, people just want to reminisce about the past, don't they? Catwoman smiled slightly and asked in return. Selina Kyle, who is also known as Catwoman, used to be one of the top thieves in Gotham / She had deals with different gangs in Gotham and had her fair share of conflicts and grudges. She was also one of the few criminals who were able to get away from Batman. At least in the eyes of Gotham citizens, there are very few criminals who have never been caught by Batman, and Catwoman is one of them. There are those who say that Catwoman is the greased criminal Batman had ever encountered, while others say that they like each other. No matter what the truth is, this famous thief vanished without a trace after he met Batman many times and never stole anything again. There are people who think that Catwoman might have made enough money to last a lifetime and decided to retire from her criminal activities. However, today she reappeared in Gotham, and this time she had her eyes set on the world-famous Hope Diamond. In order to get into the exhibition as an insider and make things easier for herself, she even disguised herself as both Kim and Lily. As a top thief, Catwoman was naturally skilled in disguise, but she wasn't as proficient as Phantom Thief, who could change into people of any gender or age. She could only disguise herself as a female with a similar body type. Bang! Just then, the door of the bathroom was kicked open and Dick rushed in. Selina! Oh, little Robin is here too. Where's your bat? Catwoman maintained her composure and even spoke in a playful manner while Batgirl and Robin were present. If Batman saw what you're doing now, he would be very angry. Dick said it with a serious face. Why don't you just enjoy your retirement? Firstly, I don't recall ever saying I was retiring, and I'm not old enough to retire. Secondly, I heard that Gotham has a new Batgirl and a young thief making headlines. I'm quite curious to meet him or they. Now, Batgirl is right in front of me, and even though I haven't seen the real face of Phantom Thief, this guy has exposed all of my plans, causing me a great deal of trouble. It makes me more and more eager to play with him. A strong sense of interest showed on Catwoman's face. Oh, and your magician friend is pretty quick. I almost didn't notice he planted this on me. As soon as she finished speaking, Catwoman swiftly threw two small black objects at Dick and Barbara. Dick and Barbara subconsciously moved to the side and then realized the objects thrown were their transmitters and bugs. Tell Batman I said hi. When they turned around, Catwoman had already gotten out the window and vanished without a trace. Barbara ran quickly to the window and stuck her head out to look outside. However, no matter where she looked up or down, left or right, she couldn't find Catwoman's figure. This woman is really fast, Barbara complained. She felt like Catwoman never really took them seriously from the start. Let's not worry about her for now. Selina is still the same old Selina, Dick said as he picked up the transmitters and bug devices from the floor calmly. You seem familiar with her? And her attitude toward you seems quite friendly. She even asked us to say hi to Batman for her. Naturally, Gotham's criminals don't want Batman's attention. Barbara asked curiously. Suddenly, as if she had realized something, her eyes widened, and she said, could it be? Those rumors about Batman and Catwoman having a relationship are true. Dick silently nodded. You haven't been around for long, so you might not know much about the past. Batman did indeed have a romantic relationship with Catwoman, or rather, Bruce and Selina did. In all the years I've known Bruce, that was the first time he dated someone with the same person as two different identities, and it's the only time I've seen him show excitement about dating. Hearing this, Barbara covered her mouth in astonishment and said, it sounds like he really loved her. It's unbelievable. I thought Batman despised every criminal, that he'd never feel any feelings towards anyone. I used to think that too, but it's not that simple. Dick explained. There's a pervert. A loud scream followed the push of the bathroom door opening once more at that precise moment. A young woman wearing employee clothes stood at the door, pointing at Dick and screaming, her eyes tightly shut and not bold enough to look inside. Suddenly, Dick and Barbara realized that they were in the women's bathroom. They quickly followed Catwoman's lead and jumped out of the window. What's going on? Where's the pervert? Soon, the woman's screams attracted 2 security guards. "It's in there, a blindfolded man. There might be a woman with him, she could be in danger. It's terrifying. I can't even bear to look." The woman covered her eyes with both hands and spoke nervously. Miss, please take another look. There's nothing in there." When the security guards saw that the women's bathroom was empty, they were puzzled. "What?" The woman slowly opened her eyes and peered into the bathroom through her fingers. When she looked inside, she saw that no one was there. "Hey? But I clearly saw." "Miss, you must be tired from work and experiencing hallucinations. There's nothing here, not even a shadow outside." The guards leaned out of the window and looked outside. On the rooftop, Dick and Barbara let out a sigh of relief. "We were lucky to escape quickly. Otherwise, tomorrow's newspaper headlines would have been, 'Batman's sidekick Robin caught trespassing in the women's bathroom like a perverted maniac.' At least we resolved Catwoman's issue. Now, the only thing left is to deal with the Phantom Thief tomorrow." Lying on the rooftop, Dick wore an exhausted expression. "I don't know why, but even though we haven't done much these past couple of days, I'm more tired than I used to be patrolling all night." "It's pathetic that you're feeling tired at such a young age." Barbara responded with a sympathetic look. Dick rolled his eyes but didn't lose his temper. Instead, he let out a sigh. "The Phantom Thief's actions are completely unpredictable. He's like a phantom, leaving no trace. We can't imagine what he'll do next. Like today, even though we knew something was off with Lily and we bugged and tracked her, it was ultimately the Phantom Thief who ruined Catwoman's plan." "I won't come tomorrow," Barbara suddenly said. "This time you'll have to handle catching the Phantom Thief on your own." Chapter 98, Chapter 98, Easter. "If I can't run, I'll step forward. Nakajimi Atsushi, Bungo Stray Dogs." "What did you just say?" Dick couldn't believe his ears. "It was you who insisted on getting involved with Phantom Thief in the first place. I finally accepted your help, and now you're saying you won't come." "A few hours ago, I received a tip that several strange murders had happened in the area I was responsible for. There were several strange murders. The victims all died from excessive blood loss, and there were 2 puncture marks on their necks that looked like bite marks." Barbara spoke with a serious expression. "That sounds like mythological stories of people dying from being drained of blood by vampires." Dick said this with a strange look on his face. "Pretty much, and a witness stated that they saw a bat that was bigger than a person. We don't know if it's true because there were no pictures or videos." Barbara nodded and continued. "A bat larger than a person? In Gotham? How is that even possible? What he saw was probably Batman." Dick laughed. "Anyway, I will focus on this case, and other less important things can wait, especially a performance artist thief who won't cause casualties." Barbara waved her hand. "I wish you luck in catching the killer." Dick's expression became more serious as he heard her words. "I also wish you luck in discovering the Phantom Thief's identity." Barbara walked to the edge of the rooftop without looking back. She fired a grappling gun at the taller building next to her and disappeared into the night. Watching Barbara's figure disappear, Dick moved quickly and thought to himself. "Tomorrow, without Barbara as the police commissioner's daughter at the scene, I can't give suggestions on security as Dick Grayson, so I have to act on my own." Meanwhile, in a quiet and empty corner inside the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Hall Center, Dean removed his headphones and flashed a sly smile. "Catwoman wants to meet me, she probably wants to get her reputation back, but Phantom Thief is not afraid of any challenge." Dean put his earphones in his pocket and immediately picked up the mop in his hand, and started cleaning the floor. Yes, his current disguise as a janitor. As for why janitor, it was all in preparation for tomorrow's operation. The devices produced by the system are really useful. Catwoman only found Dick's 2 bugs and transmitters, but she didn't find mine. Dean thought to himself while mopping the floor. Dean had predicted the possibility of being discovered when Dick asked him to help put the bug on Lily. Once the bug he had placed was discovered, Catwoman would throw 4 objects at Dick and Barbara. They would discover that there were bugs and transmitters that did not belong to them, which would be very dangerous to Dean. The reason Dean dared to take this action despite this risk was because of the existence of the system's store. The bug he used was a mini-bug that he bought through the system with a length of only 2.5 micrometers, which is impossible for the naked eye to see. Dean knew Catwoman wasn't a supernatural being or a meta-human, and there was no chance of her discovering the bug on her body. He was also aware that Catwoman could only find out that something was hidden on her body, but she couldn't know how many bugs were hidden. As for why he used a regular bug to eavesdrop on Dick before, that's obvious. There were not enough amazement points at that time to buy this thing. One of these devices costs 50 points. The biggest flaw of the mini-bug was that it couldn't be used again. Their energy supply lasted only 72 hours, and when the energy was about to run out, they would activate self-destruction. This was equal to a 50-point item being usable only once. The self-destruction was not an explosion but rather vaporized silently without creating any waste. Of course, it could also be manually self-destructed. Hey! Janitor over there, didn't you eat? How come you don't have any strength when mopping the floor? At this moment, Henry, who was patrolling different tasks inside the exhibition hall, arrived in this area. He saw Dean mopping the floor, and immediately frowned and asked in dissatisfaction. Hearing this, Dean immediately doubled his strength and struggled to move back and forth on the floor. That's how work should look. If I see you just like before, don't blame me for deducting your pay. Seeing Dean's movement, Henry nodded in satisfaction. This guy was in tears from being scared last night, and now he's so arrogant. If anyone didn't know better, they'd think he's really tough. Dean muttered to himself while dragging the mop on the floor. Don't forget to clean the ceiling later. After giving this instruction, Henry turned and continued his patrolling in another direction. Don't worry, sir. I'll make sure to clean the ceiling well. Dean raised a smirk and whispered in a voice that only he could hear. Time flies, and quickly it's already April 3rd, Easter. The Phantom Thief is about to steal the Hope Diamond today. Today is not April Fool's Day nor a day for pranks and jokes. It is really a serious holiday. If Phantom Thief doesn't take action today, it would completely violate his own notice, and all the efforts he carefully built into his image would crumble. On this day, the exhibition hall's business is exceptionally good, better than any other day. There are even more visitors today than on April Fool's Day. After all, Phantom Thief's notices on April Fool's Day are usually close to the closing time of 8 p.m. Therefore, those who are only interested in seeing Phantom Thief and not the exhibition wouldn't come to the exhibition hall during broad daylight. Today is slightly different. Phantom Thief only mentioned that he would move on Easter but did not tell when. As a result, so fans have come throughout the day, waiting for Phantom Thief to appear. Not only that, but there are also many haters who want to see Phantom Thief fail and constantly criticize him. They too arrived at the exhibition hall early in the morning. With both groups present, the exhibition hall is crowded with people, which puts huge pressure on Jim and the GCPD police to maintain order. Wow, there are so many people here. Dean, who Dick had invited to the scene today, couldn't help but exclaim as he took in the breathtaking sight of the crowd. I guess it's not as many as the audience you had when you performed magic at Gotham Theatre. Why are you so surprised? Beside Dean, Dick shrugged his shoulders. It's different. The Gotham Theatre is a large venue, so even with a large audience, it doesn't feel crowded. But here. Dean pointed to the crowded exhibition hall and waved his hand. According to Phantom Thief's usual habits, the possibility of him appearing at night is higher. I really don't understand why these people are crowding here right now. Dick shook his head helplessly. You can tell they genuinely love Phantom Thief. Just as I said before, he is a very talented magician. Dean smiled as he looked at the audience in front of him. Chapter 99, Chapter 99, Doubtful. Clever people wouldn't really go around calling themselves clever. Itatari Yuji, Jujutsu Kaisen. Do you really think so? Dick looked at Dean with a strange expression. Dean looked nonchalant and said, "Of course, anyone who has seen Phantom Thief's performances will admire him. There's no magician in the world who wouldn't. Why do I remember you saying before that rivals are enemies before and that the tricks Phantom Thief uses are just ordinary tricks that any beginner magician can do?" Dick smirked with a hint of amusement. That was just me trying to save face back then. You really didn't think a beginner magician could reach Phantom Thief's level, did you? Seeing Dick's reaction, Dean scratched his head in embarrassment and chuckled awkwardly. I do know that regular magicians can't match Phantom Thief's level. It's just that your sudden praise for Phantom Thief caught me off guard. Dick shrugged his shoulders. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. You called me to help catch the Phantom Thief, so let's go inside quickly to the Hope Diamond exhibition hall before it gets too crowded. Dean looked at Dick seriously and said, "By the way, why didn't I see Barbara today?" Barbara had something urgent to take care of today, so she couldn't make it. Dick explained. I see, that's a shame. Dean said it somewhat regretfully. Whether it was an illusion or not, in that instant, Dick thought he saw a flash of surprise in Dean's eyes. However, that expression vanished quickly, and when Dean looked at Dick again, his gaze was so clear that Dick wondered if he really saw it. What are you thinking, Richard? Seeing Dick somewhat dazed, Dean asked. Oh, nothing much, just wondering what time Phantom Thief will appear today. Dick snapped back to attention and smiled as if nothing had happened. Dean nodded and walked ahead towards the exhibition hall where the Hope Diamond had been relocated. As Dick watched Dean's back, a deep light flashed in his eyes. Thanks to Phantom Thief intentionally disguising himself as a worker, the police discovered the secret tools in the separate exhibition hall, which destroyed all of Catwoman's plans. Although only a few people knew that Catwoman had planned the tools in the separate exhibition hall, most people believed that it was all Phantom Thief's work. In any case, the separate exhibition hall could no longer be used. So, the Hope Diamond was moved to a regular exhibition hall. This situation happened too suddenly, and there wasn't enough time to create a new protective measures area. They could only move the Hope Diamond to a somewhat safe exhibition hall. That is the East Exhibition Hall on the 5th floor of the Orpheus Jewelry Exhibition Hall Center, located on the edge of the building, with 2 windows on both sides and only one entrance. The windows on both sides may look like glass, but they are actually made of high-resistant glass material that is fireproof, explosion-proof, cold-resistant, and heat-resistant. It is impossible to break them unless heavy firepower weapons are used. At the same time, the Hope Diamond display is placed in the center of the exhibition hall. The display is equipped with a high-precision gravity sensor device. Even if a few grams of pressure are applied to the Hope Diamond, it will trigger an alarm. However, there is only one strange thing. The Hope Diamond was protected by safe glass, but Henry still insists on putting the Hope Diamond in the box he brought, claiming that if he doesn't do so, bad luck will come. He has been insisting on this attitude for several days now, and everyone couldn't convince him otherwise, so they had to continue using the previous container. Commissioner Gordon, were you serious about everything you just said? In the corridor at the entrance of the East Exhibition Hall, Kim looked at Jim with a shocked expression and asked. Ever since we discovered the secret path and gas masks in the separate exhibition hall, Lily has mysteriously disappeared. No one has seen her, and there's no surveillance footage of her actions, only a few meaningless images of footage. Jim nodded solemnly. Ms. Kim, I need you to tell me now, is there really an employee named Lily in the Smithsonian Museum? Kim shook her head and said, she was hired as a security expert from overseas after we announced the Gotham exhibition plan. To be honest, I don't know much about her either. Then Lily is most likely a fake identity. I have enough reason to suspect that she was the thief who disguised herself as you to gather information from Henry. As for her real identity, she is likely the thief in Gotham named Selina Kyle, also known as Catwoman. Jim introduced her to Kim. This is really scary. Lily looked terrified. Lily has always acted so professionally. I never thought she would turn out to be a thief. If she really manages to steal the Hope Diamond, the consequences would be unimaginable. But if you think about it the other way, the more skilled the thief, the more professional they are in protecting against theft. After all, no one understands the ins and outs of this field better than them. At this moment, Dean came over without anyone noticing, with Dick following him. That makes sense. Jim looked surprised at Dean for a moment, but in the next second, he turned serious. This isn't the place for you two to be. You can visit normally, but don't interfere with the police investigation. Dean and Dick turned around silently and walked towards the entrance of the exhibition hall in the corridor. Why didn't you say that when Kim was here? You had to talk in the corridor. If you're capable, block off the corridor so no one can pass, right? It's normal for people to overhear the conversation and want to join in, right? Dean complained in a low voice. You better keep quiet. If Commissioner Gordon gets angry, he might kick us out of the exhibition hall. Dick patted his shoulder and reminded him. Don't worry, he can't hear us. Dean patted his chest confidently, indicating that everything is fine. Hey! Look, Harvey is up ahead. At this moment, Dick suddenly pointed to the entrance of the exhibition hall. At the entrance, they saw their old friend Harvey Bullock leading a team of officers. They conducted routine checks on everyone who came into the exhibition hall to make sure no one was wearing a disguised mask. Seeing this scene, Dean's pupils shrank for a moment. Dick quickly caught on to Dean's reaction, his eyes narrowing slightly. What's wrong, Dean? Are you afraid of getting your face pinched? Dick spoke lightly. Dean stayed calm and jokingly replied, humph, as if. I'm not a kid, who would be scared of something like that. Dean snorted softly and walked forward confidently to join the line. Dick followed closely behind him. When it was Dean's turn to be checked, Dick immediately widened his eyes, closely watching Harvey's actions and Dean's reaction. Chapter 100, Chapter 100, Feathers. It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. Tyler Durden. You're Dean Thurston, right? I've heard about you for a long time, the most talented young magician in Gotham. Harvey looked at Dean in front of him. Many people say that even though you're young, your magic skills are more proficient than those of many experienced magicians. You truly have a bright future. But it's just a reputation, just a reputation. Dean modestly replied with a smile. I heard from Barbara earlier that you can see through the magic techniques used by Phantom Thief during his crimes. Harvey asked with curiosity. I will do my best to try to see through his techniques, but it would be difficult to guarantee 100% success. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, kid. As he said that, Harvey suddenly reached out and firmly pinched Dean's cheek and rubbed it. He leaned closer and whispered, since Phantom Thief's crime until now, no one has been able to immediately see through the techniques he uses. It's normal if you can't figure it out, so don't force yourself to do it. Dean was surprised by Harvey and thought he was pretty cool. Behind Dean, Dick stared intently at Harvey's move to pinch Dean's cheek, his body tensed and ready to release at any moment. However, Harvey's inspection ended quickly. Dean had no problems, and he had not put on any disguises. When Dean successfully entered the exhibition hall, it was Dick's turn for the inspection, and he was still puzzled. What's going on? Did I overthink it? But, could it be Dean? But that's impossible. Dick stole a glance at Dean's twisted expression, while Dean slightly revealed a villainous smile. Dick, oh Dick, the trap I set has already started. Can you see through it? Shortly after that, Dick, who had passed the examination, ran into Dean with a strange look on his face. He didn't say anything. Instead, he just looked at Dean with a conflicted expression. Dean pretended not to notice and looked around the exhibition hall. Luckily, we came early, there aren't many people here yet. If we had arrived just a few minutes later, we might not have been able to get in. Yes, you're right. Dick replied weakly. Hey? What's with that expression? Why do you look so distracted? I've told you many times to stop playing around with so many girls. Seeing this, Dean quickly sized up Dick and sighed. Hey! You're the one who's being distracted. Who else is always playing around with multiple girls? Don't say nonsense. Dick grumbled unhappily. I'm going to find a good spot to observe Phantom Thief when he starts his move. Dean quickly changed the subject and headed towards the area near the Hope Diamond display. Dick regained his focus and walked closely behind Dean, thinking about all the times they had spent together today. Dean has been acting really strange today. First, he complimented Phantom Thief, then he seemed to be surprised that Barbara wasn't there, and he even called me Richard. He's not the type to interrupt when Commissioner Gordon and Kim are talking. When I put it all together, I suspect that this Dean might not be the real Dean. Dick silently pondered in his heart. But Harvey has already checked his face, and he wasn't wearing any disguise. That means he is the real Dean. But why is he acting so weird today? And why did Dean show a short moment of nervousness when he saw that we needed a face check to enter the exhibition hall? What's he worried about? Somehow, Dick felt that his good friend in front of him had a strange feeling of both familiarity and strangeness. As Dick's doubts grew, Dean didn't know this, and his face was full of vigilance as he looked at everyone in the exhibition hall. It was as if he had fully switched into a mode of catching the Phantom Thief and focusing all his attention on finding suspicious people. At least in this moment, Dean's behavior resembled that of a police officer or detective more than Dick's. Not long after, Jim, Kim, and Henry all entered the exhibition hall and gathered near the Hope Diamond display. There are dozens of GCPD guards placed inside and outside, some in uniform and others undercover, to catch the Phantom Thief by surprise. Time passed slowly, the sun slowly descended below the horizon, and darkness fell. The weather was unusually good today, with a rare clear night sky in Gotham. A half-moon stood in the sky, its shine visible through the windows on the eastern side of the exhibition hall. It's already 7:30 in the evening, and there's only half an hour left before closing time. Why hasn't Phantom Thief shown up yet? An impatient audience asked eagerly. He wouldn't wait until after closing time to make an appearance, would he? We won't get to see Phantom Thief's performance then. Who knows? Maybe Phantom Thief sees that there are too many people here and is too afraid to come. Here we go again, always criticizing Phantom Thief. I don't want to pay any attention to any of you because you'll definitely be proven wrong. Not far from the Hope Diamond exhibition display, Dick remained vigilant for everyone around him while also paying attention to his friend Dean. Achoo! What was that? Just then, the audience couldn't help but sneeze. Rubbing their noses, the audience suddenly noticed a grey feather in their hand. As they wondered how a feather ended up in the exhibition hall, another feather appeared in front of them and floated in midair at eye level. In the next second, more and more grey feathers appeared out of thin air, drifting down into every corner of the exhibition hall as if they were endless. Where are all these feathers coming from? This is annoying. There are too many, and it's blocking our view. Dick immediately clenched his fist and gritted his teeth. With countless feathers blocking most of his vision, he could still see enough, but there was no denying how annoying it felt. Who's there? Suddenly, Dick vaguely saw a figure rushing towards the Hope Diamond display and immediately shouted to stop them. Bang! There was a loud noise as the figure was instantly enveloped in a cloud of smoke. When the smoke cleared, the figure had completely disappeared without a trace. Meanwhile, the countless feathers that were floating around had all fallen to the ground. The entire process took less than a minute, barely about 30 seconds. Dick instinctively looked for Dean, and when he saw that Dean was still standing in his original position without moving, Dick breathed a sigh of relief. "Ah!" A scream suddenly rang out, and Kim, with a frightened expression on her face, pointed at the Hope Diamond display and yelled, "The Hope Diamond is gone!" The faces of the audience around them changed instantly, and they turned their heads to look. Sure enough, the Hope Diamond inside the glass case had vanished. The only thing missing was the diamond itself. The transparent box used to hold the diamond was still inside the glass case. Could it be that in just those 30 seconds, the phantom thief managed to steal the diamond through 2 layers of protection? Look! The phantom thief is outside. He's holding the diamond. At that moment, another shout came from near the window, and everyone hurriedly rushed over to see. They only saw a white figure gliding through the air with a hang glider from the sky outside the window. The Hope Diamond in his hand shimmered brilliantly under the moonlight.